Week one is almost here. We are 24 hours away from football, real live football. And that means fantasy football too. So, hey, first game, start your studs. Unless one of those studs is Cooper Kupp or Travis Kelce or Jonathan Taylor, the usuals. It's been a rough first week leading up to the first game. So we're going to break it down. And, we had already talked Cooper Kupp just a couple days ago, but there are some unfortunate events that might be unfolding. So let's get into that first and foremost. Cooper Kupp is going to be out. How long is he potentially going to be out, though? That's the real concern. Missing one game, okay, you can brush that off, but what's the deal?
Yeah, so officially ruled out for week one. So get him out of your lineups if you were hoping for the best. But I think what's worrisome is Sean McVay. Remember when this started, okay, when he had the setback, Sean McVay said, okay, he had a setback, but he's day-to-day. Then it turned into he's seeing a specialist. Then it turned into he's unlikely to play in week one. Then he's out in week one. And now Sean McVay is saying, haven't ruled out injured reserve for Cooper Kupp, which would be brutal because that's a minimum 4 games. So, yeah, this is not going the direction you'd like it to go. Like it's like every day it gets worse, right? It's like the news gets worse. So, yeah, can't be feeling too good about Cooper Kupp at the moment.
No, and a lot of questions the last couple of days about, do I trade away Kupp? Do I trade for Kupp? When do I draft Kupp? And a lot of trade offers. This might be the time to say, I can buy low on a guy who's a stud, but the bar keeps getting lower as far as what you should realistically be offering, and whether you should even try to get Kupp. So we'll break down some of those questions, your actual specific questions, in a little bit, but we also need to talk about potential fallout here. Okay, so this is kind of a recap of what we've talked about on the weekend, but look, Kupp is definitely out for week one. The biggest beneficiaries, for anybody who maybe didn't catch our live stream, last couple of days, biggest beneficiary to you is who?
Tyler Higbee. I think it's Higbee. I do like Van Jefferson, and on Friday we have like our hidden gems for week one video, and I do talk about both Van Jefferson and Higbee, but I feel better about Higbee because he's going to get funneled more of those easier targets and also more red zone of a threat. Of course, the issue is how often are they going to really get towards the red zone? Seattle's defense isn't, an elite. It's not like they're playing some elite defense, but this offense, what are we expecting from this offense? Really, like one touchdown? It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, on the road in Seattle, not a good spot. Anyways, we don't really know what kind of Matt Stafford we're going to get. He didn't look that good last year unless he was throwing to Cooper Kupp. Now he's going to have no Kupp. Nothing was added to this receiver room at all, inexplicably. So now without Kupp, it's kind of hard to imagine him having much at all success. One question people ask, what does this do for Cam Akers? You think, well, yeah, they'll run the ball more, but don't you think the defense will know that? And really, can they afford to run the ball that much if they potentially are down? So I don't see this really helping Akers. Do you?
No, I don't think it necessarily. It might hurt Akers to the sense, again, how often are they going to be able to get into the red zone? Like at least before, you could just Cooper Kupp could get you inside the 20, right? You could hit Cooper Kupp on a couple passes and bang, you're inside the 20. Like, I don't know how many red zone attempts Cam Akers is going to get. I also don't think, like, if you look at the games last year with Stafford, they threw the ball a ton. It wasn't until it was Baker Mayfield they stopped throwing. So I don't think, I think McVay still has trust in Stafford if Stafford is truly healthy, and they'll still throw it a lot. And like you said, they're probably going to be losing, so they're probably going to need to throw it a lot. I don't like Higbee's the only guy I feel like gets and Van Jefferson gets a bump too because he's going from a guy no one even wanted to start to a guy maybe you could start. So those are the only guys I would really consider getting a bump on the Rams.
And just to be clear, and thankfully we haven't had any questions mentioning, but let's get it out there. Ben Skoranek and Tutu Atwell. You shouldn't be rushing out to pick those guys up, right?
You gotta be pretty desperate.
Yeah, very desperate and a really deep league. So I wouldn't get too excited about those guys. Now Puka is one guy. Puka Nacua has been getting a lot of hype this preseason already. Look like he might be, I guess, let's call him a starter in 3 receiver sets, and now looks like he will be starting. So, how interested are you outside of Dynasty?
I think he's definitely worth the stash. I think you talk about him on tomorrow's video in that sense. But he's not a guy I'm starting. I'm not. Look,
right.
Like I said, Higbee at tight end, I'm fine starting Higbee at tight end because tight end's not a position where, like, if Higbee gets you 10 points, you're going to be okay with that. You're going to be like, cool, I got 10 points from Higbee. That's fine. You're not going to be disappointed. Or even if you get 8 points from Higbee, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. If you put Puka in your lineup and get 8 points, you're going to be like, oh, what was I thinking? Like, if you put Puka in your flex and get 8 points and somebody on your bench gets 17, you're going to be like, oh, what was I doing? You know what I mean? So, not stash him. Definitely, I think he's worth a stash, but not starting him week 1. No way.
No, me either. Yeah, Van Jefferson is like a very fringe flex in like deeper leagues, especially if you had Kupp and you have to bench him or whatever. But yeah, Higbee is the one guy. And you know what? You might need some Higbee this week because Travis Kelce, we talked yesterday about that injury, not going to be going out there. And George Kittle is banged up. I'm not sure what the deal is. He might be questionable going in. You might need a tight end replacement a lot sooner than you thought if you drafted early at that position. So one of the guys that becomes interesting, of course, is the backup Noah Gray to Kelce. Tyler Higbee, of course, is the better option there because he's got that rapport. Let me then pivot to another situation. This is coming out today. We know Romeo Doubs in Green Bay has been battling a hamstring injury, seeming like he's, I don't know, to me, from everything I read, I'm kind of reading between the lines here, on the wrong side of questionable maybe heading into week 1. And all of a sudden, Christian Watson also on the injury report. They may be left with their top 2 targets in week 1 as rookies. That's the receiver Jaden Reed and the tight end Luke Musgrave. Some people are asking, is Musgrave a good option because, I don't have Kelce, whatever. I mean, would you go that far now knowing that potentially, again, it's not official, what if Green Bay's down its top 2 receivers? Does that make Musgrave interesting enough that you actually stream him?
I think so because, I mean, who else they got? They got rookie Jaden Reed, who we like, but we're talking about a rookie wide receiver. They've got, they don't have Allen Lazard or Randall Cobb anymore because they packed their bags and went with Aaron Rodgers to New York. So I honestly don't even know, like, who else do they have? Who else do they have at wide receiver? I think it's gotta make him. I would still prefer Higbee over him. But assuming Watson and Doubs are out, I'd probably move Musgrave over Noah Gray now.
I think so because we know at Kansas City, they spread the ball around. I don't see Noah Gray in any way. Forget even coming close to Kelce numbers. That's kind of laughable. But I don't think there's any chance he becomes the leading receiver on the team and, anything like that. He's going to be touchdown dependent, basically. You're hoping he gets in the end zone, which he could do. I could see Musgrave getting maybe 5-6 catches. They might not be long catches, but he could also get a touchdown. So I would put Musgrave over Gray also at this point. Although I love to say one guy now that I wasn't planning to start in week 1, but I've liked a lot all preseason. I know you agree with me. Matt Harmon, who we spoke to back in April, had him on the show, which was awesome. Loves Jaden Reed. And he's a guy I mentioned a couple days ago. I don't think that video hasn't quite dropped yet, but it's going to be
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Comes out tomorrow.
So just know that the context of that was filmed before we even knew that Christian Watson might not play. All right. So anyways, that's the latest, unless some other superstar player you just drafted in round 1 gets hurt, like, while we're on here, which at this point wouldn't surprise you.
No, already.
That's why fantasy football sometimes is pain, but we love it. All right. Now, we do have some questions. We have a lot of comments coming in already, and we're going to do what we usually do. If you're new to the show, first of all, welcome and thanks. We're going to try to answer as many questions as possible, help you with your start sit questions, your panic waiver wire questions if you're having to make some replacements.
Yeah.
And maybe even your last minute draft questions. There's some people drafting tonight. In fact, I know I've got a buddy who's drafting in about an hour. He might be texting me for advice. So I'm checking my phone. That's why. But yeah, if you're still drafting, maybe you did the smart thing, right? So we're going to answer those. Let's start with the super chats, though, because that's what that feature is for. Let's start with the very first one, and that is from Ramu Chalasani. All right. Full PPR, 10 team. Need a quarterback, Jackson or Cousins? I mean,
I was trying to think. I'm like, is there a different quarterback with the last name Jackson that I'm forgetting about? Like, is like
Tyree Jackson? He's not really good.
It's definitely Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson every week of the year as long as he's healthy. Definitely Lamar Jackson.
Like, it doesn't even have, like, matchup doesn't even matter at all in this.
No.
Like, it doesn't. Okay. One running back, one receiver, and a flex from Najee, Walker, Debo, Watson, who now is questionable, Ayuk, and Sutton.
I'm going to say for running back, I'm going Kenneth Walker.
Same.
Najee against the Niners with Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa signed today, so he'll probably be out there. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. At wide receiver, I would say like Watson would be my number one choice. But if he's out, I'll put Debo in. And then, so I'll say if Watson plays, I'm going Walker at running back, Watson at wide receiver, Debo at flex. If Watson is out, I'm going Walker at running back, Debo at wide receiver. And I think I still have to go, I think I still have to go Ayuk over Sutton, even though it is a tough matchup. And Sutton does have a good matchup. I think I still got to go Ayuk. So Walker, Watson, Debo if he plays. Otherwise, Walker, Debo, Ayuk if Watson's out.
Yeah, definitely Walker, running back for me. And I know you might think split the difference, having two Niners at receiver, but I would say Watson. I would say Watson and Debo, but if Watson doesn't play, just go Debo, Ayuk. I think that's still better. All right, and welcome back, Ramu. Everyone's favorite John, the other John. Start Sky Moore, knowing that Kelsey won't be out there, or James Conner. It's PPR, but it says only half PPR for running back receptions.
Well, that makes it even easier for me to say Sky Moore, because I think part of the selling point for James Conner, like you can't expect James Conner against this Washington defense to have a huge rushing game. Like maybe he can score a touchdown if they can somehow get him close to the goal line, if this offense could somehow get him close to the goal line. But I think what you're really hoping for James Conner is like he catches 4 or 5 dump offs from, I guess, Josh Jacobs, who's going to be the starting quarterback now. But that kind of loses a little bit of its allure if you're only getting half point and Sky Moore's getting a full point. Assuming Kelsey is out, they haven't officially ruled him out, but it seems like the Chiefs are generally pretty careful with their players, unless it's Patrick Mahomes. My guess is they're not going to play Kelsey, which makes Sky Moore more intriguing in a better matchup, getting the full PPR. I'll go with Sky Moore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dobbs, nice guy, but sorry, in fantasy, I don't want him, at the helm there. That whole Arizona offense, I keep saying it, just don't want part of it. I will say, though, before we get to the next is there was some good news today, right? We always talk about the injuries and the bad news. There was some good news. Terry McLaurin is practicing. It looks like he might actually play in week 1. That's not official, but I mean, is that the feeling you're getting, that it looks like he's good to go?
That's the feeling. I'm very surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be, because remember 2 years ago, Antonio Gibson had a turf toe and he kept playing and he was really bad. I still am a little worried for Terry that he's not going to be 100%. I don't know why I don't know why they do this. Like, just let him rest for a couple of weeks, but we'll see. But certainly if Terry, I think it does look like Terry is trending towards playing, which may take a little bit of the luster off of Jahan Dotson this week.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because playing doesn't mean he'll be playing well. I mean,
Right.
if he's not 100%, but it looks like at least he might be in lineups. And like you mentioned, Bosa for San Francisco, and the Niners fans are very happy about that. All right. And so now before we get to the next super chat, I've got to throw this out there. We just talked about Sky Moore, and before that, Christian Watson. So George is saying that Christian Watson is just out there on waivers. Should I grab him for Sky Moore?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Look, yes. First of all, it's Wednesday. A lot of guys are questionable on Wednesday, and then by Friday they're fine. Like if they're full participants and they're fine. And I still haven't heard. It's weird. I still have not heard what specifically, like why is he questionable? Like what is the injury or what happened? I haven't heard anything.
I want to say it was a hamstring too, but I'll check.
Okay. But I mean, even if he misses this week, even if he misses 2 weeks, like yes, you're picking up Christian Watson 100%. 100%.
I mean, you've got to think of it this way because the season hasn't started yet. If you're drafting right now, who would you draft first, Christian Watson or Sky Moore? Clearly, the answer is still Christian Watson.
Yeah,
it's got to be
by about 7 rounds, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Not just barely. I mean, even if I told you guaranteed no chance he plays in week 1, like so what? Like so what?
Yeah.
And it's not something serious. So yeah, definitely. That's why we do this. I mean, some people just way overreact to things. There's no reason Watson should be on waivers unless you're like, no, actually, there's not. There's no. Just none.
No reason.
Even like a 4-team league. All right, Marco Pelletieri, Hurts, Dalvin Cook, Kenny Walker, Chase, Olave, DJ Moore, Waller? Question mark. I guess rate this team.
I guess. I like your wide receivers. I like your QB. I think your tight end is fine. Running backs, like, okay, I'm okay. Like, okay, you obviously went early wide receiver, probably grabbed Hurts early, maybe even grabbed Waller early, or maybe you grabbed Walker, then Waller. I feel like you could have gotten a better RB2 than Dalvin Cook, though, still. Like, because a lot of times you can still get guys like James Cook, even like Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Khalil Herbert, guys like that I would prefer over Dalvin Cook. So other than that, though, I think the rest of the team is very good.
Yeah, I mean, without knowing any of the details of this league, if I assumed it's a 12-team league, I said this is a really, really good lineup, except Dalvin Cook. Yeah, it makes me wonder, as long as you have somebody with upside on your bench at running back, but everything else to me is rock solid. And then George, welcome back, George. Traded Mike Williams for Ridley. Is it a gain?
I think it is. I definitely think it is. I like Ridley. I like Mike Williams this year for sure. And somehow in my home league last night, I got him in like round 8 or 9 or something crazy like that. But yeah, definitely prefer Ridley. So well done.
Again, if you're drafting right now, who's going first? Almost every time it's Ridley.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. He should be the clear wide receiver 1 for a team that, and I'm saying this not expecting it, but one of my bold predictions, Trevor Lawrence, like he could lead the league in passing yards, and that would help Ridley. That's for sure.
That would definitely help Ridley.
Before we get to the next super chat, Gorilla Kid, this is kind of a recap. We talked Kelsey a lot the other day. So now, knowing the news that we know as far as maybe Packers receivers being out, you like Noah Gray, Juwan Johnson, or Musgrave?
I still go Juwan Johnson. I mean, that Tennessee defense is such a bad pass funnel. I think he's at least a threat to score a touchdown. Musgrave may give you a higher floor if both those receivers are out. But I mean, are you chasing the 7.8 point floor at tight end, or are you chasing like the potential double-digit game because he scored, like he only caught 3 passes, but one of them was a touchdown? So I'm still going to go Juwan Johnson.
I'm going Juwan Johnson. The other 2 guys became interesting. Juwan Johnson was already interesting, right? Yeah. Not just interesting because of injury.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Let's go to this one. Joshua Rogers, a 16-team league.
All right, here we go.
That's where the real competitors are. All right, so it's 3 receiver, half PPR. Got T-Law, Bijan, Dobbins, very nice. Bigsby, Chandler, Charbonnet. Receivers are Ridley, Dotson, JSN, Dobbs, Slayton. Got Muth and Niners defense. In a 16-team league, is that good?
That's definitely a good team. I mean, you got Bijan and Dobbins, solid at running back. Ridley, Dotson. JSN's playing this week, all right, so That's good. You got T-Lock QB, who apparently is going to be the highest scoring QB in the land, according to Pierre.
Maybe. Maybe.
No,
Actually,
but
I didn't say the highest scoring. I just said passing yards.
I like Trevor Lawrence a lot this year. I think he's going to be great. And then you got a good tight end. So I think for a 16-team league, this is very good. Yes, very good.
Well, look, if this Joshua is definitely rooting for that to happen. He's got T-Law Ridley stacked there. So if that happens and they both go off, he's maybe winning this 16-team league. The receiver depth is very thin because you got JSN, he's playing, but then Dobbs is really banged up. Slayton, you don't really want to start Slayton. I get that it's a deep league, but that's the only issue. But you have potentially 2 stud running backs. So 16-team league, I think you're very competitive. Gotta throw this up here just to get some reactions from the crowd, if nothing else. Josh Bonilla says, wouldn't have touched Kupp in the 5th round. Forget he's 30. Only had 2 good seasons. Only one of those was elite. Other than that, he's been mediocre.
Maybe Josh. Maybe you need to start your own fantasy channel.
That's a fire take there. Mediocre Cooper Kupp. You'll definitely get some reaction to that.
He was pretty good before Matthew Stafford. Like he was consistently like a 4th round pick. 4th, 5th round pick before Stafford.
I think a lot of receivers would love to be as mediocre as he is. All right. We says, hey, welcome back. Full PPR RB2, Pierce or Monty?
This is actually starting to get closer for me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm starting to come around on Monty this week. Chris Jones not going to play. Maybe without Kelsey, the Chiefs don't just obliterate them. Although I saw a stat, Patrick Mahomes in week 1, something like a bazillion yards, 18 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Like for his career in week 1. Like he just is awesome in week 1. So maybe it will be a blowout. But Pierce does have a tough matchup. But I feel like Pierce probably gets more work, even in the receiving game. I think it was my team. I'm still going Pierce, but it's gotten closer. It's gotten closer for me, but I'm still going Pierce.
It is definitely closer. I mean, Pierce, just not a good matchup, but I still I trust the volume here. That's the thing. So I'll lean Pierce. I haven't changed my mind completely on that. It's close, though. It's pretty close. Humberto says they're offering Richardson for Dylan. I got Howell and Pickett. Drop both and do the trade. So to get the rookie QB for, I guess, a backup running back, but he's got Howell and Pickett.
I really never like trading a player for a QB. And I know it's Dylan. It's not like a guy you drafted early. He's probably sitting on your bench. But man, if something happens to Aaron Jones or he takes over the backfield, you're going to really kick yourself for trading A.J. Dillon. Unless Richardson is awesome, of course. I think for this week, I would just roll with Howell. I would drop Pickett, though. I don't think you don't need Pickett this week. I would roll with Howell. I would hope Richardson goes out there and throws like a couple of interceptions and looks like a rookie. And then maybe your league mate just drops him next week. And then you can get him for free. Mm-hmm. And if not, if he plays halfway decent, maybe you can revisit the trade next week.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing this. I'd rather have Dylan. I think Dylan could be good. Remember late last year when they finally said, hey, wait, who's this guy here? This guy back who's been sitting here. Yeah, A.J. Dillon. Let's actually use him. Once he actually touched the ball, he was pretty good. And I think he's going to touch the ball a lot more this year. But then there's also the fact that, look, I'm not convinced that Richardson is going to outscore Howell in fantasy this year. I'm just not. So, no, I'm not doing this. But you can definitely drop Pickett because I would be shocked if he has a huge game against the Niners and like all of a sudden looks like the truth. I mean, I don't think so. All right, we got Brandon Warren. All right, curious for the 2 flex. We got options here: half PPR, McKinnon, Van Jefferson, Mostert, Christian Kirk. Already have Rashad White and Joe Mixon at running back. Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown for receiver. I think you're good there. So 2 of those for flex.
I'm going Kirk and Mostert. even though it's half PPR, I'm not benching Kirk. And look, McKinnon gets a little bit more interesting with Kelsey potentially out, but only a little bit. Give me Mostert going against the Chargers, probably getting 55 to 60% of the snaps. Give me Mostert and Kirk.
Yeah, mentioned McKinnon as a possible beneficiary here, but not starting him over those guys. I mean, Kirk is pretty much an obvious start there.
Yeah.
Van Jefferson, I could consider. I think it might be close. If it is full PPR, I think I might go Van Jefferson, but I'll go Mostert because even if Shane is playing, which it seems like he's playing, I don't think he's going to get that many touches right away. Mostert should still be fine. So I'll agree. Mostert and Kirk. Eric Sanchez, Amari, and Davis for Kupp.
I'm not doing this. I like Amari this year. Look, if Kupp comes back week 5, maybe he's fully healthy and you get like incredible Cooper Kupp. But this is starting to feel like Jonathan Taylor last year. Now, I know Jonathan Taylor didn't start the season injured, but once he got that first injury and then it affected his play and then he missed games and then he came back and then he missed games, like it's starting to feel like that, right? Where this is going to be something that isn't just going to magically go away. And I think Amari will be good enough. Like, no, he's not going to be Cooper Kupp, but I think he's going to be good enough, and you don't have to worry about, what happens if Cooper Kupp isn't back week 5 or week 6, and then he comes back week 7, and then like you get one good game of Cooper Kupp, and then week 8 he re-aggravates it, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Not doing it.
I mean, honestly, what I'm thinking is, who Cooper Kupp was starting to remind me of is Cooper Kupp last year when he missed half the season. I mean, you got to be worried. So, like, if you told me he's missing a game, maybe 2, I consider this. But now it's like, nah, Amari Cooper should be, really good this year. Just not worth the risk at this point. Now that we know that the red flags keep popping up. And then we have I Mind Heart. Thank you. No, thank you for the super chat. And if that says Perfect Dark, then I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that's old school gaming. All right. Have Kelsey, so need to drop one. Dobbs, Burks, Odell, or Eli Mitchell to pick up one of these tight ends. Ferguson, Smith, Conklin. So who do you drop?
I'm dropping Odell. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my leagues, I don't even know if Odell was drafted. And to be honest with you, maybe like the very end. And I'll drop him to pick up, I guess, Jake Ferguson out of this group. If these are my choices, I'm probably going Ferguson. Conklin is interesting, but against Buffalo, I don't know. I'm going Ferguson.
I kind of think I like that you kind of hit the nail here on 3 really nice tight end sleepers. I think all of these guys are very intriguing, but you want someone who's more likely to produce this week. So I would say not Conklin because the matchup with Buffalo. Irv Smith, let's see it. He is still mostly going to be touchdown dependent. Let's just face it. There's not going to be a bunch of targets going his way as long as Chase is out there and Higgins is out there and even Boyd. So I go Jake Ferguson. And to me, drop either Odell or Mitchell, either one. But probably Odell, like you said. I mean,
the reason why I'm always scared to drop a guy like Mitchell versus Odell, like, okay, let's say Odell goes out there, catches 3 passes, and one of them's a touchdown. Everybody's going to run to pick up Odell. Right? Oh my God. But it's like, okay, it was kind of a fluke game because he caught a touchdown. If Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, and, knock on wood, it doesn't, Elijah Mitchell is like potentially a league winner. So that's why I'm always like a little hesitant to drop the running back like Mitchell. So in this case, I would just drop Odell.
Yeah, obviously having that running back handcuff is more important than the wide receiver. I don't even know what you would call Odell. I mean, I guess he's a starter, but I think he's probably the number 3 receiver in Baltimore, honestly. And you put him behind Mark Andrews. Yeah, he'll be out there once in a while. But all right, let's go to Anwar. What's up? Got the 11th spot in a 12-team PPR draft later tonight. See, a lot of people still drafting. Big buy in there, $100. Just
Nice.
gonna go with the flow. All right.
There you go.
That's not bad advice. I mean, look, you got 11th spot here. If you've been watching us, mocks all off season long, in our drafts at least, usually by that point, the top 3 running backs are probably off the board. Kelsey would have been off the board, not anymore, I don't think. Well, actually, let me ask you this. I'm not gonna say who would you take, because we know it's gonna be one of those young receivers probably. Do you consider Kelsey on the way back? Like,
I think so. I think if Kelsey is there on the way back, I have to consider him, because they did say it's just a bone bruise, which he could easily be back for week 2 and be fine. So, yeah, I think if Kelsey is there on the way back, I strongly consider him. Yes.
There you go. Not a huge dip, but still buying the dip. Roberto, what is going on? All right. So, what do you think about DJ Moore, London, or McLaurin, or Metcalf as potential fair trade for Kupp, even if he doesn't land on the IR? Or do you think that changes anything? So, is that?
I assume you mean just trading one of these guys for Kupp, not all of them.
I'm pretty sure one. Yeah. So this makes it kind of like basically like high-end wide receiver 2 types.
Yeah. I mean, here I might gamble.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about DJ Moore. Man, I mean, this is hard, because on the one side, like, man, if like there's that thing, that thought in your head, like, well, if he comes back at some point and the hamstring's healed and he doesn't get hurt again, this is gonna be robbery, right? I'm gonna rob these people. But then there's the other voice that's like, well, yeah, but what if he doesn't come back?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
But these aren't guys like, I mean, I do like DJ Moore a lot. I do like Drake London a lot. I think Terry will be fine. I think DK will be fine. But these aren't guys that, like, I feel like it's not like you're trading like Stephon Diggs, or AJ Brown or somebody where I'm like, oh, that guy's going to be really good. Don't do it. Like, I think these guys, you know what I mean? Like, these guys, like you said, like high-end wide receiver 2s. Man, I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
I know these guys are all basically the same range, but for the player itself, does it depend on you? Like, because for me, honestly, the way I look at it, I kind of split the difference. Like, yeah. I would trade McLaurin or Metcalf to get Kupp. To me, I was like, I'll take the chance. Yeah. DJ Moore, I'd rather keep. And then London is kind of fringe here, but I think I'd rather keep too. So for me, it's like one half versus the other.
Yeah, I definitely, like, for Terry and Metcalf, I would probably do it for Kupp and just hope he gets right. DJ Moore in London is where it gets tough. Definitely.
All right. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be very interesting for all the Kupp owners, which, speaking of, Keith Tapp lost Kupp. My other receivers are the Sun God, Deontay Johnson, Evans, Van Jefferson. Okay, so would you go with Evans this week? Or I guess if the other option is Jefferson, would you play him? It's a 10-team league.
No, I'd still go Evans. It's a good matchup against the Vikings. Like, I don't think Van Jefferson's going to have a big game. Like,
right.
Like I don't see, like, oh, like Van Jefferson's now going to have this huge game. Like, Evans might not have a big game either, but at least he has the potential for a big game against a bad defense. So I would rather just roll with Mike Evans against the Vikings over Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson for me is like, you're desperate. You could start him. I think I'll at least have like a decent floor this week, but I don't really see a ceiling with him. So I'd rather just gamble on Evans.
Yeah, look, I've been saying I don't love Mike Evans this year. I don't, really want part of that Tampa passing game if I can help it. But, he's got a far superior matchup. Instead of, Rams on the road at Seattle, he's got the Vikings. So, and, Evans could, if Baker Mayfield manages to throw a touchdown, good chance it might be Mike Evans. So I would go with Evans too. Anthony Cervantes, question here is Mike Will or Christian Watson? Let's assume Watson plays, of course.
If Watson plays, and assuming it's not one of these things where it's like he doesn't practice all week and then he tests it out game time and says like, yeah, I'm good. Like, because that happens a lot, right? Where They don't practice all week. They test that out game time. They say they're good, and then they barely play. They're not really good. Like T. Higgins last year, I think I remember T. Higgins. Pretty brutal. So in that case, I go Williams. Otherwise, I'm going Watson.
Yeah, every time I had Watson like available to me, and to draft, there was always that little doubt. Like, he did have some injuries last year and kind of banged up. He's kind of a guy who seems to get hobbled, but like, well, that was last year with nothing serious. And now, I think part of me is like, dude, should I regret drafting Christian Watson so much? Because if this is going to be a recurring thing with him, it's going to be really annoying. But yeah, well, let's see what it is first. Let's not label a guy injury prone. You don't like that anyways. Dan Fuller, rate my team, 12-team full PPR. Got Lawrence, Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Jefferson, Lamb, Higgins, Ingram, Sutton, Gibson, Perrine, Ashane, Sky Moore, Musgrave, and AR.
All right. Let's start with the wide receivers because those are great. Jefferson, Lamb, Higgins, that's fantastic. I mean, fantastic. You still got Jahmyr Gibbs, which I like. Aaron Jones, not my favorite RB2, but I think he'll be solid. He'll be fine. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got the Lawrence Ingram stack. That's pretty nice. I like pretty much everybody on your bench. Like, Perrine's okay. I'm a little worried about Perrine now because Javonte is playing, and I just don't know if the role will be there for Perrine that he needs, but he's fine. I guess you don't really need Anthony Richardson, to be honest. So, but overall, I think it's a very good team. Should definitely be competitive. I mean, your wide receiver should carry you most weeks. If Gibbs and Jones are good, your team will be an absolute monster. So, well done.
Yeah, I mean, you got stud receivers, and I like for waiting on RB2, you still have a very dependable guy in Aaron Jones. You got Lawrence stacking it with Ingram. I think it's a really good team. I'd give it like an 8.5 if I had to grade it. Very good. Intern of War. What two do I start out of these three? Half-point PPR. B. Rob, Gibbs, and Sutton. Pretty sure we can start Gibbs. Do I panic over Dan's comments about limiting Gibbs?
You know what's funny about that? Just yesterday, I think it was yesterday, there were comments about Jahmyr Gibbs running deep wide receiver routes in this offense. And then the very next day, there's comments about him being limited in the first game. Like, can't listen to this noise. I'm still going Robinson and Gibbs. I just like that. I mean, I do like Sutton this week. Like, there are times where I would play Sutton. He's going against the Raiders. Maybe Russ isn't completely cooked. But I think Brian Robinson against Cardinals too good of a matchup, and I can't bench. I'm not benching Gibbs.
Yeah, like I'm definitely going Gibbs and Robinson. And that's funny because, if they're talking down, like, oh, he's not going to play it. That's totally trying to reel it back because it's like, okay, he's getting too much hype, and they're talking about, how they're going to use him and throw him out. So he's trying to throw smoke out the media.
Yeah.
Just ignore it. Anything you hear in the media from coaches over the next 3 days, just ignore it. Eric Sanchez, not a good start, he says. Kelsey is out. Who do I drop for Musgrave? You got Bateman, Sky, or Sutton. Have Judy already.
Oh, man, I don't really want to drop any of those guys just to pick up Musgrave for potentially 1 week. I mean, I'd probably say Bateman only because I don't feel like anybody would pick Bateman up. Like, I just don't feel like Bateman has had much hype in this offseason at all. Like, I feel like if you drop Sky right now, he's going to get picked up for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you drop Sutton, he's probably going to be picked up. You can't drop Judy. I guess Bateman, but I really don't want to, but I guess Bateman. But I would definitely wait until Kelsey is officially ruled out tomorrow before you drop him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to take a 0 to start out the week, and don't drop Sky, don't drop Sutton. I guess it's Bateman. So, and also start Rachaad White or Akers.
I'm going Rachaad White. again, I do worry a little bit about Akers. Like, are they going to give him chances to score in the red zone? And look, Rachaad White might not get chances to score in the red zone either, but I feel like Rachaad White's going to catch twice as many passes as Akers this week. So I'm going Rachaad White.
I'm going Rachaad White as well. And then the proper popper, Taysom Hill.
Yes.
Any hype? We had to have a Taysom Hill question.
No, I would rather just take the 0 than pick up Taysom Hill and put him in my lineup.
Yeah. If he really is a quarterback now, he's not going to play, right? He'll come in for like 1, 2 trick plays, and that's it. It's like, no, just you can do better. Let's go to Lil Isaiah. Pick 2: Jamal Williams, Evans, Lockett, Akers, or Mike Williams.
Yeah, it's got to be Lockett and Mike Williams for me pretty easily here. Just Jamal Williams, he's fine. Evans, maybe, but come on, Baker Mayfield, like you're gambling there. We talked about Akers already. Don't necessarily love him this week. Definitely like Lockett against this terrible Rams defense. Like Mike Will going up against the Dolphins in what should be a shootout. I'm going Lockett and Williams.
Easily Mike Williams and Lockett too. Actually like Lockett a lot this week. So yeah, for these choices, it's this week pretty clearly those two. And then Rewind. George wants to know how your team turned out last night, because you did mention you had your home league draft. So
well, I think it turned out pretty well, but I didn't realize that for the first time ever we went to half PPR, even though there was no mention that we were switching to half PPR. But
everybody else knew except for you.
I got Lamb and Diggs. And then I took Josh Allen and Mark Andrews just because I wanted to stack Josh Allen with Diggs. That was really it. I was like, I'm just going to take Josh Allen because I want to stack him with Diggs. And then I still got Christian Watson, Mike Williams. I got Rachaad White, Cam Akers, Khalil Herbert, Jordan Addison. I'd have to look at the rest of my team, but it's pretty good. I like my team. I definitely like my team. But half PPR, I'm like, maybe I should have gone because I could have gone Ramondre, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to get Christian Watt. I'm going to get Josh Allen and Mark Andrews, and I'll just wait. So it's fine.
And I bet they all talked about the rule changing, and they're like, don't tell Chris. He doesn't need to know anything.
No, I don't think most people. My uncle even said, I didn't even realize it when I set up the league. Okay.
Gotta love home league.
That's a lesson. Always check your league settings first.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so Mike B dropped a super chat, and I found the question. Speaking of Jordan Addison, would you go him or Sky Moore?
Definitely Sky Moore. I also drafted Sky Moore last night, by the way. Definitely Sky Moore. I do I like Addison this year, but I don't think this is a game where Kirk Cousins is going to have to throw it, 40 times. So Sky Moore against the Lions, no Kelsey. Give me Sky.
Agree. We'll see what Sky has. Seems to be in a better position here. And then Jeremy Watts, Gibbs or Godwin at the flex in full PPR. He clarified. He says he has Chase and St. Brown at receiver, Bijan and Ramondre at running back.
Nice team. Wow. Chase, Bijan, St. Brown, and Ramondre. I'm going Gibbs. I think Godwin will be okay this week because it is a good matchup against the Vikings. It's just hard to see a weekly ceiling for Chris Godwin this year with Baker Mayfield. Kind of like last year. Every week you're getting 12 to 14 because he's not scoring touchdowns, right? Because they can't get into the red zone and they're not scoring touchdowns. I don't see why it's going to be different with Baker Mayfield this year. So give me Gibbs. I'm flexing Gibbs.
Give me Gibbs also, even though it should be a good matchup for Godwin. Yeah, give me Gibbs. Chris KD, welcome back, Chris. With us, first comment is sup. But also football related question here. Rate this team: Burrow, CMC, Ramondre, AJ Brown, Cooper, Ingram, Watson, MT, Dalvin Cook, Javonte, and Burks. And this is a 10-team league.
All right, well, you got very good running backs. I mean, CMC, Ramondre, that is great. You got an elite quarterback with Burrow. You got at least you got a stud wide receiver 1. You got a high upside wide receiver 2 in Cooper. You got Watson as your flex. This team's phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well done. Very well done.
It's 10-teamer, but it's still pretty loaded. There is a lot of injury risk on this particular team.
Well,
I mean,
especially
not
on the
even
bench.
including Michael Thomas alone, but Javante, and then Watson is already banged up. Burks should be fine, but anyways, but you have a lot of upside, so that's pretty smart. Yeah, very well. All right, and then we got Pistol Packing Pilot.
All
Please rate
right.
this team. Got Herbert, CMC, Ramondre, nice
Another
duo
CMC
again.
Ramondre team.
Olave, DJ Moore, Herbert, a kicker, Elijah Moore, Brock Purdy, Devon Shane, Mims, MVS, and a defense.
Why Brock Purdy? Just, I mean, like I don't even get like why Brock. You gotta have Justin Herbert. Why do you have Brock Purdy? CMC Ramondre, that's great. Olave DJ Moore, I love that. You got Herbert. Who's your? Am I missing a tight end here? I don't see a tight end. Maybe they don't start a tight end in this league. Am I missing him? I don't see one.
Yeah,
I like Herbert. I like Elijah Moore. I like Shane, like Mims. Don't really like MVS and don't really understand Purdy. But overall, it's a very good team.
very good. Again, don't know if it's 12 team or what. Let me just throw it out there. I always say anytime you do ask, especially rate this team or, any sort of context would help. PPR, half PPR standard, if it happens to be non-PPR especially. So, but assuming this is a 12-team league, I would like to have this team. I think it's very good. But yeah, you can drop Purdy. You can probably drop MVS.
Yeah.
And actually, this is a good time because we're almost an hour in. Let me just a couple of quick announcements, some housekeeping business here. First of all, if you have been dropping a super chat and you're waiting patiently for a response, we'll get there. We're now running a little more behind than usual, so we're going to try to play catch up, but we're going to guarantee to answer all the super chats and try to get in some regular comments, as many as we can. So stay with us and put that super chat in there, and we will definitely get to your question. We got a lot. Now, before we get to that, I also think I neglected to mention, by the way, thank you, Style and Moose. That's what we're here for, by the way. We're here to answer your last-minute draft questions. If you're still drafting tonight or tomorrow, you start sit questions, injury questions, waiver, whatever it is, because we have all these videos every week for you to check out. If you didn't check out the running back start sit, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end, it's all out there already. And we have booms that are dropping and then some more videos, some new things for you this year. So all of that you should check out, but then there's also more, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's do some more super chats here first, because we have Dan Henry, 10-team keeper, and this is standard. All right, so that makes a difference. Herbert, Etienne, Chase, Garrett, London, Rashad White, Ridley, Brees, Raheem Mostert, and Pitts.
So, I mean, look, I like your wide receivers a lot. And I think Etienne will be okay. I think like Rashad White certainly loses some value in standard scoring, I believe. I'm not saying I believe, like I'm guessing, like I believe he does. Like I really believe that. That's what I mean by that. I would like to see stronger running backs in standard scoring. Like you got Chase, Garrett, London, Ridley. That's fantastic. Those wide receivers are phenomenal. But I would just like to see stronger running backs in standard scoring. So I would have preferred it, like maybe if you went running back heavier early. And look, I don't know, with keepers, maybe all the good running backs are already capped. Like maybe that's the thing, because it's a keeper league and it's standard scoring. So maybe every good running back it probably is already a keeper, right? So, but look, if Etienne is good this year and White can actually score some touchdowns with your wide receivers, you could be stacked. But I would just like better running backs in standard scoring.
Yeah, and then I don't know how many keepers you get. If you get as many as you want, or pick and choose, or I don't know how it works. Brees then makes more sense. But yeah, that's my thing in a 10-teamer. I mean, you have stud receivers. You're loaded receiver. You got Herbert. Etienne is good. It's the Brees. Brees doesn't do it for me in a 10-team league. Unless you plan to keep him next year. But if you only can keep 2 or 3 guys, you really aren't going to keep him anyways, because you're going to keep Chase. You should keep Garrett Wilson, and you might keep, Etienne or I don't know. Anyways, Pitts probably, but it's still good. Pedro, should I get Kareem Hunt?
No. Why are people trying to add Kareem Hunt? Like, we haven't even heard news about him potentially signing or anything. No, I'm not getting Kareem Hunt.
And this is not, calling up you or anybody else particulars, just guys, we have to let go of what happened like 2-3 years ago. It just completely new season. And yeah, guys, especially a running back, get old quick. Kareem Hunt wasn't even good last year. Like, he wasn't. He was dropped in a lot of leagues because he didn't do anything. So not only is he not that good anymore, he's not even in the NFL right now. So there's no reason to stash Kareem Hunt. Like, no reason.
Yeah.
Derek Richardson wants to know if he should trade Derrick Henry to get Olave and Cam Akers.
I only sigh because I'm not sure if I want to deal with the pitchforks. But I'm doing this. I mean, look, it depends. Like, if it's standard scoring, like we just talked about with Dan, then give me Derrick Henry because I'm going to take the running back. But you're getting a stud receiver, and I think Cam Akers will be at least a solid RB2 this year. If it's me, I'm doing it. I hardly ever want to be the 2 in the 2-for-1, but I was drafting Olave over Derrick Henry anyways. So for me, it's like you're giving me the 1 and a 2. So yeah, I'm doing it. I'm taking Olave and Akers.
I'm surprised, honestly, that it took you that long to say that you would do this. I thought you would be right away.
I know people are going to be like, it's Derrick Henry. He's the king.
Look, Olave is being drafted ahead of Derrick Henry in our drafts, at least. I mean, we have him ranked higher. He could be the wide receiver equivalent in terms of fantasy scoring, and you get a solid RB2. No, Cam Akers will not match Derrick Henry most likely, but still. I mean, you think, well, 2-for-1, you're getting the better player. We don't even know. Like, Olave could be that guy, and Derrick Henry could break down. So, look, I'm still in on Derrick Henry. I'm drafting Derrick Henry. I'm not worried about it necessarily, but give me Olave and Akers, like, for sure. And then Ruben wants to know who to flex here: Dotson, London, or Deontay Johnson.
Well, this was London for me even before it looked like Terry was going to play. But now with Terry looking like he's going to actually play, this is definitely London for me.
Yeah, Dotson was interesting. I mean, he still is. I'm not saying if Terry plays, Dotson doesn't have value. You could definitely still flex him. But yeah, I like London. I think London's pretty good. Kyle wants to pick one of these. He says for depth. So I don't know if this is like a waiver wire question or what, but a Shane, Gibby, or Warren.
Gibson's the one I'm picking up out of these 3 guys. I mean, look, I know there's a lot of people thinking Warren is going to like just completely overtake Najee Harris and be the RB1 there, but it's probably not going to happen. Same with the chain. Like, it looks like he's, even going into this week without Jeff Wilson, there's no guarantee he's ahead of like Salvin Ahmed on the depth chart. We know it's going to be pretty much all Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, and that's pretty much it. Like, maybe Chris Rodriguez will get like 15% of the snaps or 10%, like nothing, right? So give me Gibson.
I'm putting Warren third out of these guys. I know he's gotten the most hype out of all these guys. I'm trying to figure out what it is that, I mean, everyone's so excited. Maybe because he's like one of these unknown players, and everybody. I feel like a lot of people really, like, for some reason, want Najee to fail. Like, they're just rooting for him to lose his job. Maybe it's because he's Alabama. I don't know what it is, but anyways. I don't know. I'm putting Warren third. I like a Shane, I like his potential long term, but right now, who has the most value week 1? For sure, it's Gibson. So who should you stash right now is Gibson. A Shane could probably sit on waivers another couple of weeks. So I will go Gibson. And then, we already did that one. Mike B, Jordan Addison or Sky Moore. I think we already did that one too.
Yeah, we did that one too.
Okay. But this was a later one. All right. Catching up, Hector Savage, Sky Moore, or Miles Sanders.
All right. I mean, look, I like Sky Moore now for sure, but I can't start him over Miles Sanders. It's not really even a bad matchup for Miles Sanders. I don't expect this Falcons defense to be some suddenly elite defense. He seems to be fully healthy. He's going to be a workhorse. I think he's going to catch more passes than people expect. Yeah, Sky Moore is interesting now, but I'm rolling with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, this one is kind of tough. I mean, there has to come a point where like the intrigue and the potential, kind of just gets set back to reality, right? It's like, oh, Sky
Yes.
Moore, he could do, they could do, but then it's like,
Right.
did I really think this before 2 days ago? You know what I mean? It's like just because Kelsey's out doesn't mean he's going to have a 100-yard game. I mean, he could, but Miles Sanders could get 100 total yards because he's the running back and he's going to catch passes.
Yeah.
So yeah, the reasonable choice here, I think, is still Miles Sanders. And look, it's week 1. You don't need that boom, that home run pick. You don't, you shouldn't. So go Miles Sanders. Flacco, just a regular chat here, but he's one of our loyal viewers. And I think this question's interesting because we're down on Muth and we're talking up Musgrave if both those guys are out. But would you go Musgrave over Muth?
I can't do it. Not even if they're both out. I can't do it. Like, I'll still go with Muth.
Yeah. I mean, if you had Kelsey, because you need a tight end, okay. Or, if George Kittle doesn't play or something. But yeah, it's still just take the known floor. Because really, Musgrave could still do nothing, even if Watson and Dobbs are out. They could just not pass the ball very much. They could just not do anything. So, yeah, I go Muth. And then live from Brazil again, Miles Sanders, Khalil Herbert, Deontay Johnson, or Sutton for the flex.
Got to go Sanders again. Look, I like Khalil Herbert this week, but Khalil Herbert is just a guy who's going to get a lot of carries, could potentially score a touchdown in a good matchup. Miles Sanders is going to be the workhorse, going to catch passes. Again, I'm not worried about the Falcons. I'm going Miles Sanders.
Yeah, this is half PPR, so I mean Deontay doesn't have a high ceiling anyways in this matchup. Knock him down just a little bit more. Sutton, wait and see. Herbert's interesting, but give me Sanders. And then Chrono. Oh, nice. Very nice. The Chrono Trigger tribute. We've been rocking it on YouTube entire year, every week, the entire season. But anyways, Kupp owner using Cortland Sutton. Speaking of Sutton, how well do you see Cortland doing season long?
I mean, maybe he'll be okay. It really comes down to Russell Wilson. Is there anything left? Any part of old Russell Wilson left in there? If there is, then he should be pretty, at least good. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say Cortland Sutton's gonna be a top 15 wide receiver or anything, but he should at least be good. There's certainly reason to like him this week at least, because probably no Jerry Jeudy, although we haven't gotten an official update. Going against the Raiders. Look, Russell Wilson had, I think, one great game last year, and it was against the Raiders. So, there's a chance. But season long, I think he'll be okay. Okay to good.
Okay is pretty much it. I mean, I think we have all tempered our expectations on him for now. A lot of our drafts, he was like an afterthought. He was like in the 10th round or something. He moved up a little bit late in draft season, but yeah, I mean, let's hope for 1,000-yard season. I guess let's put it that way, which would make him usable, but that's kind of it. Like wide receiver 3 maybe is his ceiling. Which, by the way, I don't think it's a controversial take to say Chrono Trigger best RPG ever. Austin, if Kelsey's out, who do I claim? Well,
we've talked about a lot of them. I mean, obviously Higbee number 1, but he's probably gone by now. But everybody knows about Higbee now. Maybe Juwan Johnson's still out there. Maybe Musgrave if Watson and Dobbs are out. Maybe Jake Ferguson in deeper leagues. I think Jake Ferguson has some appeal, even if those other guys are gone, because I mean, tight end gets used a bit, Dallas. So guys like that, and then Noah Gray too. If none of those guys are there, you don't like him. I think Noah Gray will at least be streamable this week.
Yeah, worst comes to worst, you can always do Gray. Hope he gets a touchdown. So those are some of the options we've been talking about. George with another one. Rate my team, starting with Zeke right off the bat. That's the first name you see. Okay, now I get it. What do you think, Chris? Would you like this team?
This is if the last place prize in your league is like an awesome prize. They're like last place is, all you can eat, whatever for the year. this is the team that will get you last place. No doubt about it.
There you go. Look, if you're playing to get the number 1 pick next year, you got
Although
it.
I do like Ritter, so he might win you a week.
That's well, that's true. You have a little too much upside there. You got Ritter, and maybe Tony has a couple of big games. So
that's true too.
I will say that was, you know what? Switch Tony out for MVS, and then there you go.
There you go.
The all stud team. I think that was $4.99 well spent because you brought a smile to both of our faces. All right, Michael Cazares, non PPR, Evans, DJ Moore, or London White as wide receiver 2. I'm not sure about the White part.
Yeah. I'm still going DJ Moore. I think he has the potential for the biggest game out of these guys. Even though, it's the Packers and they are pretty good against the pass. They'll move him around the formation. He's not going to get shadowed by Alexander or anything. So I'm going DJ Moore.
Yeah, I'm going DJ Moore. Like London, like DJ Moore a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then we have Keith Tapp. Another one. Do I flex Gibson, Monty, or Mike Evans?
Here I'll go Monty, talking about the fact that I'm kind of coming around on him in this matchup. No Chris Jones. Maybe the game doesn't get away from the Lions as much as we thought now that Kelsey is out, although it might still get away from them. But starting to come around on Montgomery in this game. I'm going to go Montgomery.
I don't know, because I really want to go with the guy who's facing the terrible defense. I know the Chiefs defense without Chris Jones really isn't that much better, if at all. I don't know. I think I'm still a little bit more interested in Gibson because he'll catch more passes. I think Gibbs is going to get a lot of work. Detroit just so excited to throw their new toy out there and use Gibbs in every way possible. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Gibson, but between him and Monty, it's close, but because it's full PPR, I would go Gibson. And then we have Ken Wen. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's rate this team. 11th of 12 teams, PPR, Lamar Jackson, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, Bijan Robinson, Swift, Andrews, Dotson. On the bench, got Gabe, got B-Rob, got Nico, Ashane, Jalen Warren, Spears, and Rashawn Johnson.
All right, so you got Bijan Robinson, you got Garrett Wilson. Getting Bijan at the 11, I assume. That's great. Ayuk is your wide receiver 2. Swift is your RB2. Those guys are okay. I would still like to see better. Because I'm kind of wondering here. So you went Bijan Wilson, and then it came back to you. I guess you went Lamar Andrews. That's my guess. And then you went Ayuk Swift, or maybe you went Ayuk Dotson, then Swift. It feels solid, but it doesn't jump out to me as like it's solid, but you're probably going to have to work on it a little bit throughout the season to get it to that next level.
Yeah, for a 12-teamer, I think Ayuk's better served as a number 3 rather than a number 2 receiver. And I get you have Andrews, but that's, to me, again, generally why I'd rather – I used to say Kelsey or bust. Well, so much for that. But, yeah, wait on tight end.
Yeah.
I like Dotson. I think Gabe is fine. B-Rob, I like B-Rob. I like the bench. You have a lot of the guys I have identified as sleepers. So can't argue with the bench. A lot of upside there. So I think it's very competitive. You just kind of have to hope that Swift does pay off, or Robinson does come through, that you can start one of those guys each week. This week, I would say start Robinson instead of Swift, and then take it from there.
Yes, so definitely.
Yeah, that's my only thing. And you're having to flex Dotson. So yeah, I guess just the wide receiver depth isn't quite as good as I would like, but otherwise for the 11th pick, I think it's pretty good. Austin Lowe has a 10-team league. Burrow, Bijan, Madison, Diggs, Higgins, Njoku, Olave, White, Cook, Dillon.
All right, well, you got Diggs and Higgins. That's great. You got Bijan. Fantastic. And you got Olave. So very good there. So you kind of went hero RB, which is fine. You got Burrow. You got Madison and Rashad White and James Cook and Dillon. which is like what I like, right? I mean, you got 3 stud wide receivers. You took an early hero running back with Bijan. You got an elite QB in Burrow. And then you stacked a bunch of like RB2s with upside. So very well done. Like this team a lot.
Yeah, 10 team. Obviously looking at Madison, you're like, wait a minute, but your receivers should make up for it. You got White and you got Cook still too. So as long as you get some receiver depth somewhere along the way, I think you're very competitive. You have a lot of high-end options there. So I'd say this is a solid, at least an 8, I would say. We says dropped another super chat. Here's his 10-teamer in PPR: 2 running backs, 1 flex, Mostert, Gibson, Akers, Dotson, Cook, Herbert. 2 running backs and a flex.
I think you got to start. You got to start Gibbs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's close for me between Herbert and Mostert as my RB2. Not really feeling James Cook this week against the Jets.
No, but you're not putting Akers in the conversation.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah. No, I got Akers over those guys. Okay, Akers at RB2. And then this would have been Dotson at the flex for sure, and maybe it still is. But man, this Terry news like really. I think I'd probably still go Dotson at the flex, though. Even though I do like Herbert, I do like Mostert. They're not like slam dunks or anything. So give me Dotson at the flex.
Yeah, I think I'm going to flex Dotson too. Gibbs for sure. Akers is solid. Herbert and Mostert, both guys that have that upside. We know this, but also guys that don't really catch the ball a lot. And so this being full PPR, I think Dotson, to me, even if Terry plays, are we sure Terry's 100%? Are we sure Terry's really going to get targeted, be out there a full load? So I think Dotson is still rock solid against what should be terrible Arizona defense. So yeah, I'm going to agree. Do both of those. Joe Castles, welcome back, Joe. 2 in all caps when you spell the man's name. Mixon, Dobbins, Herbert, Brian Robinson, Jefferson, Waddle, Watson, Dotson, Nico, and Mims. Start them. All right. Well, how many are we starting? I'm guessing 2, 3, and 1. Or I don't know.
Well, 2 is easy. You're starting him. At running back, I'm going Dobbins, Mixon. I assume you're starting 2. At wide receiver, I'm going Jefferson, Waddle, Watson, assuming Watson plays. If Watson is out, if Watson is out and you need a wide receiver, I'm going Dotson. But if it's like a flex, I'm debating, do I go Brian Robinson over Dotson with the Terry news?
That's where it gets interesting because you're talking about the same offense, same matchup. The running back who's splitting time or the wide receiver who's sharing targets. That's tough. And it doesn't say, it's Joe. He probably plays in the PPR league. So I don't know.
I think I might go Brian Robinson over Dotson if you need that. But hopefully Watson's fine and he plays and you can just play Watson.
Yeah. Hopefully Watson plays. I don't want to get carried away. Like, I don't want to hammer my picks like, oh, he's one of my sleepers. He's one of my guys. Like, you have to start him. It is a great matchup. Brian Robinson's a solid pick. I would have said if McLaurin doesn't play at all, then yeah, I would have picked Watson.
Definitely Dotson then. Definitely Dotson.
It is tougher now. So let's just say keep Watson in there. If he's out, throw Robinson in there. Mixon, he kind of still have to start. Dobbins, you for sure want to start. All right, this might be a good time to mention we're still catching up on the super chats. If you're waiting, if you dropped super chat in the last 15 minutes or so, patience. We're catching up there. Trust me, we did not skip them unless we did, in which case you can tell us. But if you dropped it any time after 7 o'clock, we're still getting there. The Dobbins pick is very interesting. We've talked about him as one of our favorites. If I may, I'm going to share real quick, guys. You might know, I didn't mention this at the top. We are very, very excited that we're sponsored now by Underdog. You might have heard Underdog. If you do best ball, of course, you use Underdog, I would hope. If you don't, well, you still got a little bit of time to get a best ball draft in, maybe tonight, tomorrow, or you can do those pick'ems every single week. They have season long still available. You want to do some picks for, yardage, touchdowns, whatever, for the whole season, for players, for every team, or picks for week one. Still some time for that, of course. So if you don't have an Underdog account, get the app, download it, use code ENDGAME. That's very important. Use code ENDGAME, and that gets you 100% deposit match up to $100. So I want to show, because I know we have already a lot of our viewers use Underdog. We have a whole section, a whole channel in the Discord for Underdog. We have Underdog leagues, Underdogs, picks that we share. I want to share a couple because this is also something that you should know. If you do those picks on Underdog, they change all the time, right? Just like any kind of line, it's going to change. And so some of these I want to share before they change and while they're still available. If you have Underdog, you're going to do some picks tonight anyways, I would grab these now. So these are the ones that I had to update because there's some that I like and they have changed. And for example, and I put this on Twitter yesterday, it had Matthew Stafford higher or lower than 250 yards. I'm taking the lower for sure. Like I'm just smashing that. And then it disappeared. So you can't take that one anymore because it changed. And now it's down to, I don't even know what it is, like 227 yards. So that's just not as appealing. But there's some that I still like here. So let me see, even throw this up. All right. So y'all can see that.
There you go.
Okay. So, maybe because it's the very first one, the very first game, the very top here, but look, Jared Goff, 1.5 passing TDs. I mean, Chris, this is a team that already is not a great defensive team in the Chiefs. And now that Chris Jones isn't playing, without Chris Jones over the last few years, they ranked 28th in pressure on the QB. And Jared Goff can easily get this. I mean, I know touchdowns are tricky, but you feel as good as I do about this, higher than 1.5 touchdowns?
I feel pretty good about it. Yes. I think he can definitely do that. Yes.
All right. Also, the fact that Kansas City allowed the most passing touchdowns to quarterbacks last year, that kind of helps the cause for me too. And then another pick I like, I mean, you're big on Calvin Ridley, obviously, having a huge season. You've been saying you think he'll be featured this week. They're going to say, hey, look what we got, Colts. Yep. 62.5 receiving yards. Think you can go over that?
I think he can.
I very much go higher than that. J.K. Dobbins, this line has been changing here. And so right now, what I got, it was 56.5, higher than that, definitely. Earlier, it was closer to 60. I don't care if it's anything below 70. I'm saying higher for sure.
Yeah, that feels like I don't understand that line at all. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then one of the last ones I have here is, look, I'm not going to admit that, call a guy a bust or take an L yet, but it's not even week one. But John Mechie is running, I think, 5th on the depth chart. They're saying he looks like a guy that hasn't played football in 18 months because he is. And, Baltimore looks like they were bad against the receiver last year, but in the second half of the season, they were in the top half. And the last 4 games of last season, they were one of the best against receivers. I don't even know if he'll get a catch, much less, any kind of yardage here. So I'm just going to assume he's not involved or barely involved, and I'll just take the lower on that. I think that's worth it to me. So anyways, all these picks, look at all these choices you have. To me, again, you're looking for some action in week one. These pick'ems is the way to go. So I wanted to share some of those. Those are the ones I like the best that are still active right now. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. We got Jeff Football, 12 team. Got Pickett and Purdy for a 12-teamer. Interesting. Dobbins, Brian Robinson, Breece Hall, Cook, Garrett Wilson, St. Brown, London, Ayuk, Tank Dell, and Njoku and Musgrave.
I'm trying to figure out how you got here. I mean, obviously you went Garrett Wilson, St. Brown. I love that. I'm guessing you went London, Ayuk next, then maybe Dobbins, and then probably Breece Hall. I'm guessing you took Breece Hall right around there. But then how did you end up with like only Brian Robinson, Tank Dell, Njoku, Musgrave, Pickett, and Purdy? Yeah, I'm gonna say it's okay. Like I like Garrett Wilson, St. Brown. That's great. I like London for sure. Like I like your wide receivers. They're good. Obviously, you got Dobbins. I like him. Maybe look if Breece comes around at some point, then that'll be a big boost to your team. But man, I really don't want to be starting Kenny Pickett or Brock Purdy in a 12-team league.
No.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Might need a little loving from the waiver wire. You don't need Musgrave, and like Pickett, Purdy, just pick one and go with it. But even so, I mean, I guess you waited till the very end to take quarterbacks, but yeah, 12 team probably should have somebody a little more solid than that. But just pick one and go with it. So I would say you can drop Musgrave, drop one of those quarterbacks, get a little bit more, running back depth, I guess.
Yeah.
Chris KD with another one. Christian Watson not practicing. We already talked about that. If he's out, pick 2 to flex. Michael Thomas, Deion Jackson, Dalvin Cook, Javonte, Traylon Burks, or Streamer Ram.
Oh boy. Please play Christian Watson. But even if Christian Watson plays, I mean, you need 2 to flex. You still got to flex one of these guys, I assume. I guess Deion Jackson's the one I feel the best about, sadly. Maybe he's a starting running back against the Jaguars' run defense that isn't like phenomenal. I don't think I could flex Tyler Higbee. I'm just debating, do I go Van Jefferson over Michael Thomas? Or do I just gamble on Michael Thomas for 1 week against a terrible pass defense in the Titans? I think I roll him. Honestly, I think I go MT and Deion Jackson. That's where my gut's going. That's where I'm going.
Man, I mean, I hate to say it, but just to be honest, like most of these guys are on my do not draft list. So I don't Michael Thomas, no. Deion Jackson, nobody drafted him, of course, but I guess Javonte, Burks, but not this week. Dalvin Cook. I guess I would go Dalvin Cook. I guess Deion Jackson if Moss doesn't play. I don't know. That's all I got.
That's true because Moss is back at practice now. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he'll play this week, but if he does, then forget Deion Jackson. So, anyways. All right, let's move on. Roberto with another one. 10 team. Jackson, White, Gibbs, Chase, St. Brown, Olave, Juwan Johnson. On the bench is London Acres, Kirk Swift, Addison, Kincaid. Okay, so asking for a trade, who would you package to get an upgrade at tight end?
If you're gonna get somebody like Andrews, like it's this is the thing. It's tough because all right, I drafted Andrews in my 10-teamer last night. Like if somebody comes to me with a trade for Andrews, I either want him to, throw in like a decent tight end, like maybe like a Dallas Goedert. I mean, I think Dallas Goedert will be good, but somebody that's not valued as highly as Andrews. Or I want to make sure that there's like decent tight ends on the like, okay, if I trade Andrews, who am I going to go pick up? Like if I'm going to trade Andrews and then I got to go pick up, Jake Ferguson, I'm not going to feel too good about it. I'd be like, I don't know if I want to give up Andrews and then have to roll with Jake Ferguson every week or stream tight end. So, I mean, I don't know how a lot of people value Juwan Johnson. Maybe Kincaid might even be valued higher than Juwan Johnson right now. So,
yeah,
maybe you could package like Kincaid and then Kirk or London since they're just sitting on your bench. Maybe that'll be enough to get Andrews, but I don't even know if that would be enough to get Andrews, to be honest. And I don't really want to give up Chase St. Brown or Olave.
No, you don't deal from, you don't the advantage and the strength you have is your receiver. So if you trade one to get a tight end, you're not helping your team. You're just trading one position for another. So yeah, if I had Andrews and someone came to me with like Kincaid and Kirk or even London, I'm like, no thanks.
I'm
so
saying no.
honestly, I think what you might have to do, I'm not saying necessarily you should, but you might have to like say, okay, I'll give you Gibbs and Johnson or Kincaid, and then I'll just start Akers every week, or Swift every week, and just say I'll rely on those guys as my running backs. But I don't know if that's really a great thing. It just depends how highly you think of Gibbs. So you can try.
It also depends how highly the Andrews person thinks of Gibbs.
Unless you're lucky and the Andrews owner has Kupp or something, and you can say, hey, I'll give you London and Kirk for Andrews. But
because chances are Andrews probably went ahead of Gibbs in your league, I'm guessing.
Right, exactly. So it might even have to be Gibbs and Kincaid.
Yeah.
So and it might not could do that. Chris, not you, needs flex help. 12-man PPR start 1. Judy, probably not going to play. JSN is going to play, but how much? Burks, think he's going to play. QJ, who knows? And then Penny, no way. So who do you start? You go JSN?
Yeah, the problem is Judy probably not going to play.
Nah, I don't think so.
JSN coming off a wrist injury, first game out, can't do it. Burks coming off a knee injury on the Titans. I don't think I can do it. Quentin Johnson making his first start. Penny going against the Patriots. Oh, this is brutal. I guess I go Burks. I guess because at least Burks has played with Tannehill and been in that offense. Like,
I guess it's not even a good matchup. But
no, it's not.
I would say JSN, but there's got to be concern. Oh, he's playing. How much is he going to play? How much is he going to get thrown to? So I think just take a shot on Burks.
Yeah.
Jeff Football with another one. This is a 10-team projected last. Well, let's see why.
Oh, okay.
T-Law, Richardson, Bijan, Dobbins, Hall, Connor, Olave, Wilson, Ridley, London, Pickens, DJ Moore, Njoku, and Musgrave. That's a good team.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, this shows you about why are you projected last. You got 2 good running backs. You got Olave and Garrett Wilson and Calvin Ridley and Drake London and George Pickens and DJ Moore. I mean, your wide receivers are stacked. You got a good tight end. You got a good QB. I don't know why you're projected last. This is one of those teams where, like, you're probably going to win the championship because that's how these sites projections work. Like, the worst grade you get in the draft means the better team you drafted.
Yeah, just forget projections. They're usually not right. No. Chris KD, another one, last one. All right. Interesting offer. Someone offered Kelsey and Akers for CMC.
That doesn't seem like an interesting offer to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the team. So you're going from CMC Ramondre to Ramondre Akers.
It looks like he already has Ingram. I mean, it's good enough, right? Good enough.
Exactly. Like, he's good enough. I think, I'm keeping CMC. And you can't say that, well, CMC could get hurt because Kelsey just got hurt. So you can't even use that excuse. So I'm keeping CMC.
Yeah, keep CMC. Sonny Helms, here's the question. Half PPR for the number 2, Watson, if he plays, Deontay, Sutton, or Jefferson. That's your number 2 receiver? I mean, I guess Watson was your 2 and Johnson was your 3. All right, so let's do that. And then we're going to pick 3 running backs.
Well, Watson, if he plays, assuming again that he practices at some point this week and is good to go, he's the number 2. If not, I'm going to go Sutton. I just am. I'm going to put him over Deontay because it's a tough matchup for Deontay Johnson. I just don't see much of a ceiling for him. I'd rather gamble on Sutton without Judy in a better matchup. So Watson if he plays, otherwise Sutton for me. And then the 3 running backs, the first 3, definitely the first 3, Gibbs, Walker, and Dobbins.
Yeah, love Dobbins. He's a great pick. Walker for sure, Gibbs for sure. Watson if he plays, and I guess Sutton this week just because of matchup. So, oh wait, almost skipped this one. Henry Marte, 2 flex. Got Rashad White, Jamal Williams, or Javante.
Doesn't matter.
None of it matters. Dotson or Godwin. Okay, so pick 2 of those guys. Let's just say not Williams.
Yeah, not one of the Williams. I'm going White, and I'm still going Dotson. Like I said, I don't see a big ceiling game for Godwin. So I'd rather go with Dotson. Even last year, I mean, what Dotson had like 6 touchdowns playing with Terry, playing with terrible quarterbacks, missing a big chunk of the season. I'm going Rashad White and Dotson.
Yeah, I'm going White and Dotson, probably no matter what. And then Brian, what's up, Brian? Half PPR, 2 receiver, need to drop one to pick up a kicker. Oh man, he's got Deuce, got Van, got Shaheed, and got Rashawn. Okay, let's start with that.
I'm dropping Deuce, and I'm not even like worried about it. Like that like. Yeah, I'm dropping Deuce, like no problem, like no pain at all to me. I'm dropping Deuce.
Yeah. Agree with that. Any interest in Reed? Like I had interest in Reed before this happened. I'll say this again. The video's coming out tomorrow. It was filmed before today, but yeah, we've been high on Jaden Reed. Definitely interested in Reed. But would you drop, I guess, hypothetically, I don't know if he's asking, but would you drop one of those guys to pick up Reed now? Besides Deuce.
Yeah, if you don't need Van Jefferson or Shaheed, I'd be okay dropping one of those guys for Reed.
I like Rashawn as a long-term stash, but I think it's going to be a little bit of time at least before he produces. And Shaheed is not a must-hold. We both like him, but you don't have to hold him. So either. Well, I'd rather drop Shaheed, I guess. Rather have that running back depth. And then Sonny, is this the same one? Looks like the same one, just in a different chat. All right. Well, thank you again. Appreciate that. All right. This seems urgent. It's not super chat. Allie, please help. Got offered Kelsey for Hawk.
If you're getting Kelsey, take it. Yes, take it. Like even if he misses next week, again, they said bone bruise. That's guys play through bone bruises sometimes. Like this is not going to be this is not like the Kupp situation at all. This is actually like went from possibly being bad to like, oh, hey, it's not bad at all. Take Kelsey. Definitely.
And it always cracks me up is how far people overreact.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get rid of him. He's going to miss the game. Like, take that deal.
This week.
Take that deal. Bronson Mendez, thank you. 12-team, half PPR. Rate my team. Fields, Bijan, Gibbs, Diggs, Godwin, Waller, Rashad White, one of the Jay Williams, Addison Sutton, Juwan Johnson, and Algier. 12-team.
All right, well, you're great at running back. I mean, Bijan, Gibbs, Rashad White. Wide receiver, not the kind of wide receiver room I would like in a PPR league. You got Diggs, that's fantastic. But then Godwin, Addison, Sutton. Like, I mean, I like Addison, but he's probably like not going to come out of the gates hot right away. Sutton, like, okay. Godwin, I think will be okay. I'd like a little bit better wide receivers here. And then you obviously punted tight end with Juwan. And then you even have Algier. Like, man, your running backs are ridiculous. So, like a little bit stronger at wide receiver, but your running back should carry you. You got an elite QB. It's good. I'll give it like a 7.5. It's like solid.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, definitely got upside. I mean, definitely young at running back, especially, but I think it's pretty solid. So, yeah, it's just Godwin as the number 2 receiver.
Yeah,
that's the issue. And you got Rashad White. You're a little too heavy on the Tampa offense. Just put it. I think 7.5 is fair. And then Jay, get this work. #1muscle. All
right.
Sounds motivational. T-Law, CMC, Pierce, St. Brown, Drake, London, Laporta. Is that your starting tight end? Interesting. All right, Cook, one of the Cooks. On the bench, got Hall Sky, Jason Zay, Eli Mitchell Mims, 10-team league.
All right, so 10-team league. You got an elite running back. You got an elite wide receiver. You got a very good running back 2. You got a very good wide receiver 2. I'm going to assume that's James Cook, not Dalvin. You got Breece Hall on your bench, which, look, Breece Hall on my bench, I'm A-okay with. You got Sky, JSN, Zay Flowers, Mitchell. So you got a good bench. I think even for 10-team, though, Laporta doesn't do it for me at tight end. Like, you should have a better tight end in 10-team. But the rest of the team is very good, so well done. But I would go out to the waiver wire and see if there's a better tight end than Laporta.
Yeah, for a 10-team league, I'm still a little wanting here because your RB2 is like your typical kind of more mid to low end RB2 in a 12-teamer, and then your wide receiver 2 really should be more like a wide receiver 3 in this format. And you don't have an advantage at tight end, so yeah, I feel like maybe you took a chance on Breece Hall a little too soon, and he's going to be sitting on your bench for a while. So I would have liked some, I don't know, just some more high-end players at each position. CMC is going to have to definitely do some heavy lifting for you, I think.
Yes.
So this honestly, to me, the 10-team league, it's a little more like a 6.5. Louis C. also wants a rating. 12-team PPR. Got T-Law again. Sun God, Ridley, the stack, Debo, CMC again. Swift, Ferguson, Cooks, and then some nice bench players. It's like, see, to me, this is very similar lineup. I mean, we got CMC, we got Lawrence, we got Sun God, and instead of London, got Debo. Okay, let's say it's comparable. And then instead of Pierce, it's Swift. That's comparable. And then Ferguson versus who was the other one? The tight end was Laporta. Like, to me, the starting lineup is better, and it's a 12-team league.
Yeah, it is better because you got Ridley as your wide receiver 2. Debo, I guess, as your flex. Yeah, it is comparable. I don't like this bench as much as the other bench, but that's going to be the case in the 12-team. So, how can you improve? I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, again, you need to improve at tight end, but easier said than done. I think, you're going to have to stream. Look, maybe Musgrave and Musgrave and Ferguson, I think, are pretty good, like, kind of sleeper tight ends. So,
yeah, I mean, I would say in this case, it's okay to hold on to a second tight end because you're really not convinced about your first tight end.
Yeah,
exactly. But you don't need Carr because you got Lawrence. He should be good every week. So I would say drop Carr, and you could probably drop Hodgins, right? Isaiah Hodgins is like, okay, but you could go for more upside and grab one of the guys we mentioned on the early waiver wire video. Some of these sleepers. Style and Moose, once again, has a full PPR, played 2 quarterbacks. All right, got Josh Allen and Cousins. That's good. Etienne, Dobbins.
Is that Kyron Williams? Kyron Williams? Wow.
I guess so.
Or is it Jamal Williams and he hit the K?
I don't know. Well, either way, I don't think it matters. You're starting Etienne and Dobbins, and then you got AJ Brown, Sun God, Kirk, Pittman, Goddard, Ravens defense. This is a really good lineup.
Really good lineup, especially for 2 QB, because you got Allen and Cousins, you got Etienne, Dobbins, you got AJ Brown, Sun God, Kirk, Pittman, and you still got Goddard. Very good lineup. Very good.
Very good. Because usually Superflex or 2 QB, then you sacrifice when you go and get one of those early QBs and you sacrifice somewhere else. I mean, Cousins wasn't an early round pick, but yeah, I think Etienne and Dobbins, you did a good job of getting 2 stud receivers, a stud quarterback, and still getting good, rock solid running backs. So, and you didn't sacrifice a tight end either because you got Goddard. So I think this is a really good job. Keith with another one. Keith Tapp, that is. 10-team league. Got Fields, Bijan, Aaron Jones, Kupp, St. Brown. Got a lot of Sun God fans on our viewership. I don't think that's a coincidence. Deontay, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews. That would be a kicker, I think. Daniel Carlson, Bills, Monty, Gibby, Eli, and Samaji and Jefferson.
All right, so, well, I mean, the Kupp pick hurts, right? Like if Kupp was healthy and you were rolling with Kupp, St. Brown, and Bijan, and Fields, and Mark Andrews, I would say very strong team, right? Because you got elite QB, elite tight end, you got one elite running back, you have two elite wide receivers. It's kind of what you're looking for on a 10 team. But with Kupp, that hurts. And then behind them, you got Deontay, Mike Evans. Aaron Jones, your RB2 is okay. Bench isn't bad. It's decent. So, I mean, look, I'm guessing you drafted Kupp before the injury news, or obviously before today when it looked like he might go on IR. So, with the healthy Kupp, I would love this team. But with the Kupp's uncertainty, I'm going to say it's a good team, but it could be in trouble with the Kupp news.
Yeah. I mean, when they're all healthy, good high-end talent up top, but there's just no receiver depth really. And if I was bigger on Mike Evans, maybe I'd be okay with it, but that's the only thing. For a 10-team league, you're going to need Kupp to come back. That's basically it. So it's okay, maybe 7-ish, with Kupp gone, and then when Kupp's back, probably better. Apologies, Malachi. We did skip this one. PPR, we need 3 of Javonte, Gibbs, Khalil, Higbee, Brees, and Mostert. Pick, I guess, any 3.
I'm going Gibbs, Khalil, and Mostert. I can't start Brees Hall or Javonte this week. First game back from ACL. I don't think they get a big workload. And look, I like Higbee, but he's still a tight end. I can't start a tight end like Higbee over these guys. I like Mostert's matchup. I like Khalil's matchup. I like Gibbs. So I'm going Gibbs, Khalil, and Mostert, regardless if it's PPR or not.
Gibbs for sure. Gibbs is a must start. Brees is a must not start. Javonte is not starting. Give me Khalil and Mostert. I mean, those guys are kind of boom busty, but I feel a lot better about them potentially booming than Javonte or Brees Hall. So, Higbee's interesting, but I'll go with the running backs over the tight end. And then, don't think we did this one. Did we do this one? I've been offered Jamar Chase. I think I would remember that. All right, so Zach Dabney, again, apologies for making you wait. I would be giving up Garrett Wilson and DJ Moore to get Jamar Chase. That's interesting.
But here's the thing. Here's what I would ask. Do you only start 2 wide receivers? Because you'd be going from Garrett Wilson to Jamar Chase, which is an upgrade. And then you'd be going from DJ Moore to Devonta Smith, which I think is also an upgrade. So if you're only starting 2 wide receivers, even though it feels like you're giving up, you're probably overpaying for Chase. But if you can only start 2 of them anyways, it actually makes your wide receivers better. Right? Like, so now if you're starting 3 wide receivers and now you're going from Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, and Devonta Smith to Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, and Gabe Davis, that might make your wide receivers a little too weak for me. But if you only start 2 of them, so you're only starting Chase and Smith, I absolutely do this. So that's my recommendation. If you're only starting 2 wide receivers, do it. If you're starting 3, it's probably an overpay.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're only starting 2 receivers, you're probably starting at least 1 flex. I mean, I think DJ Moore would be at least flex worthy. I mean, not knowing your entire bench, and then if Gabe Davis becomes your number 3 or your flex, to me, that's a little too much. Now, you can always counter and see if, in addition to Chase, he throws in a lower end receiver with some upside, maybe a JSN type. It might be too high on a guy like that. Maybe it's a Flower, something like that, just to give you a little bit more upside. But yeah, if it's just take it or leave it, Chase for Wilson and Moore, I'm keeping Wilson and Moore. That's just me. Henry Odom. What's up, Henry? Rate my team, 6 spot, 10 team, full PPR. Got Josh Allen, Akers, Dobbins, James Cook, Stevenson. That's pretty good running back room. St. Brown, Diggs, London, Deontay, I guess, Addison, Andrews, Tua, and Higbee.
It kind of feels like my team, except instead of St. Brown Diggs, I have London Diggs. But I have Josh Allen, I have Andrews, I have Akers. I don't have Dobbins. I wish. And then instead of London, I have Watson. Kind of feels like my 10-team league, my home league from last night. Which I like it, but I don't feel like it's like ridiculously stacked. Because when you go, even in a 10-teamer, when you go, like you go St. Brown Diggs. So I was at the 10 spot and I got Lamb Diggs, which that's pretty ridiculous at the 10 spot. But when you go St. Brown Diggs and then you go Allen Andrews, then like, okay, now you're in round 5 when you start taking like running backs and wide receivers. So you're going to have this kind of team. But look, if Allen and Andrews are great and Diggs and St. Brown are great, then your running backs don't have to be phenomenal. They just don't. Like as long as they're good enough, it'll work. So I think I like the team. You don't need Tua, by the way, but I like the team. But yeah, you're like my team. You're going to need those guys to be great.
Even I will admit you don't need to because you got Josh Allen. I really like this team a lot. Again, you don't have a clear, guy. Like he could be the RB1 this year, even as much as I like Stevenson. I like Dobbins, but yeah. But you're really, really solid. You have, all guys that have a pretty high weekly floor. And same thing in receiver. Although, Diggs is legitimately an alpha receiver there. So I think this is a really good team. A lot of players I like. Let's go now to Joel D. Okay, so we got Carr. Interesting. Carr is the starter. I don't think we've seen that much. AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Gibbs, Rashad White, Goddard, DK, and Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I do like Carr this week. But yeah, I mean, man, you must have really punted QB and then everybody must have taken 2. But you got really good receivers, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. You got Gibbs and White. You got Goddard. You got DK as your flex. I'm totally okay with that. I am curious, like, who was there when you took Brandon Cooks? Like, Watson wasn't there. Dak wasn't there. Tua wasn't there. So you could have had a better QB. Because I'm assuming because you put Brandon Cooks in here, he's your second flex. I don't really want Brandon Cooks as my second flex every week. Like, I would have rather gotten like a guy like Deshaun or Dak or Tua, assuming they were still there, and just gotten a different guy as my second flex if Brandon Cooks is going to be my second flex. So, yeah, I would have been curious to see who was there when you took Brandon Cooks. But, outside of Carr and Brandon Cooks as your second flex, I really like the rest of the team.
It's so funny you say that. I was just thinking that, like if you wait, I think Carr actually could be fine. I think he could be a really good value, but I don't feel like we've seen any teams that have Dak as their starting quarterback. Like, is everybody just completely out on Dak this year or what?
Yeah, I guess.
Apparently, like nobody has Dak. Nobody, at least that I've seen comment. So I think that's crazy. He's getting slept on. I like Brandon Cooks. I'm more in on him for sure than you are. So I think that's fine as your second flex. You're going to need those running backs to hit because those are both kind of chances that you're taking there. If Gibbs pays off, your team is going to be good. And then we got Micah with a 10-man league, third pick, got Hurts, got Chase, I guess Keenan Allen, and then Watson at running back, Barkley, and Bo Jackson. Very nice. He'll pay off for you. No. Kyle Pitts. Flex is Hollywood. On the bench, you got Hall, Kamara, Penny, Johnston, and Burks.
All right, so I mean, man. Like in a 10-team league where I'm starting Deion Jackson as my RB2, even though I do like Keenan Allen and I do like Christian Watson. I mean, look, you got Barkley, you got Chase, but I feel like you should have a better wide receiver too when you're waiting this long. I mean, it looks like you probably took Hall early, and then you're like, okay, I can't start Hall this week, so let me start Deion Jackson. I like Keenan, and I definitely like Watson. I like him a lot, but feel like when you start Chase Barkley, you either should have a better RB2 or a better wide receiver 2, like than Keenan. So again, like for a 10-team league, I think it's okay. Like I think it'll be competitive, but it's not like jumping off the page to me.
It's not really the wide receivers the issue for me. It's the running back situation because I don't like drafting Hall or Kamara. Like Deion Jackson only makes sense if you drafted JT and then you have him on IR, but you didn't list JT, so that's what makes me worry. The running back depth is very scary here, so that's the issue. Look, I like you got Pitts, you got Hurts, you're good everywhere else, but I know we say running back 2. If that's your problem, then that's the best problem to have, but it could be like a problem for you. So that would be the only thing. You're gonna need to solidify that just a little bit. And then I know this was a little bit ago, but I did think this too. Didn't say it, but Keith the Weather Beast, he wants to see you drop an album. Say I'm dropping Deuce, and I ain't worried about it. Did that cross my mind when you were talking about Deuce Vaughn? You said you were dropping Deuce.
Yeah, not even stressed about it. Not even like I feel very confident that if I drop Deuce Vaughn and I want to pick him up next week, he'll still be sitting there freely for me to pick him up. No problem.
Yeah, not even worried. All right, Eric Sellis. 12-team Dynasty Superflex. All right, we haven't got a lot of Dynasty questions lately, so here we go. I was offered Kelsey for Kupp in Dynasty, but wait, there's more, and Sam Howell and CMC for AR and Swift.
I probably take Kelsey for Kupp right now. I mean, at least Kelsey, they're both old. I mean, look, the end comes quick in the NFL. It happens fast. I'm not saying Cooper Kupp is at the end, but it's getting like he missed all of last season or the last half of last season, already banged up going into this season. Like Kupp's best days may be behind him. It's a very real possibility. Kelsey, it's a bone bruise. Okay, I feel pretty good that he'll be back in pretty soon and be fine. So if I'm going to gamble on an old guy, give me the tight end who gives me a positional advantage, who's only dealing with a bone bruise, didn't miss the second half of last season, and now set to miss potentially the first 4 games of this season. So I'll take Kelsey there. Second one's tougher because I definitely would prefer AR over Howell, but I don't know. Like, man. Like it should be Swift over CMC, but it's just not. It's just not because we still don't know what we're going to get from Swift. I mean, look, he's a 24-year-old talented running back versus what is CMC now? 27, I think.
I think
he's
so.
27. Like it should be the 24-year-old running back, but I can't do it. I'll just roll with Howell and CMC. So I'll take Kelsey in the first one, Howell and CMC in the second one.
It's you didn't say that the end is here, but you kind of made it sound like you're worried that Kupp is hit that cliff. So,
well, that's the thing in the NFL, man. Like remember Julio Jones, I think had 1,300 yards, and then I don't think he topped 800 yards the rest of his career. Like it comes fast, even for an elite guy. It comes fast. So I'm not saying that we're there, but you gotta be a little worried for Kupp right now. For sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, as old men ourselves, I think we know that, once your body betrays you, it's kind of hard to get that back. That's the problem. It's not the will, it's the body. So, man, offered Kelsey could help you win your league right now. Kupp, maybe, but we don't know. So that's close. That's really close. But if you need that edge at tight end, sure. I'm definitely going Howell and CMC. Like to me, Howell and AR, both young, unproven quarterbacks. That's the way I see it. I mean, sure, Richardson has the higher ceiling for sure, but you still don't know. I'm not going all in on him in Dynasty and potentially wrecking my team in a super flex if he doesn't pan out. Give me the guy who is a known stud. That's CMC.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. I think this is a good follow-up for this one, talking about guys like Kelsey and Kupp. Fantasy football is pain. Pick one: Pacheco, Gibson, Robinson, Kirk.
I think I'm still going Kirk, even to have PPR. I just think I do like Brian Robinson in that matchup, but I just think Kirk has more potential upside. Even though I did say I think it's going to be like a Calvin Ridley week, there's still enough here for Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
I'm going Kirk.
I'm going Kirk as much as I like Robinson. I don't think you can sit Kirk because the matchup for him is really good too. And then Anwar agrees that Najee's getting no respect. I honestly, I'm trying to figure out like what it is. It's like people rooting for his downfall. I mean,
I think what it is like, I think as a prospect, people weren't sold on him. And then as a rookie, he played really, like he was great for fantasy, but he wasn't very good in real life. And it's like people like, see. And then last year he burned me. He burned a lot of people.
yeah.
And so now I think people are just like, okay, he's not very good. Because like when you look at Najee, if you just look at Najee outside of fantasy and just as a runner, he hasn't been very good in his career. He hasn't been very efficient. He doesn't rip off a lot of long runs. But I do agree. He definitely is getting no respect.
Yeah, and he did get better. We also forget that beginning of the season last year, he was banged up, and there was a legit question about him, starting out in week one. Thought he was hurt, and did it limit him? All these questions about his health, and it looked like he got it together. Also, don't forget they started with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback last year, and then Kenny Pickett came in, and he was terrible. He kept throwing interceptions. So once they got the quarterback situation settled, and once Najee was healthy, he actually was pretty good. So that's why I'm still in on Najee. Not as much as last year, but yeah, I'm not giving up on Najee. Michael, what's up, Mike? The resident Seahawks fan of the endgame community. In need of a good flex. If I'm comfortable streaming tight end, is Anders. I'm trying to figure out who.
I'm guessing Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews. Would you trade Mark Andrews for Kupp, I guess?
I don't think I would. I mean, I'm happy that you're comfortable streaming tight end, but streaming tight end is not comfortable. There's nothing comfortable about it. Like, I would be okay. Like, if you had asked me this question yesterday, I'd probably say, yes, give me Kupp. Because it didn't, it was like, yeah, he might miss a week or two, but okay. But now again, the progression of Kupp has gone. Missed the second half of last season. Strained his hamstring originally August 1st. Had a setback, a couple weeks ago? Where McVay said day to day. And then it went from a setback where he's day to day to he's going to Minneapolis to see a specialist. Then it went from where he's going to Minneapolis to see a specialist to where he's still in Minneapolis with the specialist. Like, what is the specialist doing? Like, why is he still with the specialist? And then it went to not ruling out IR. Like, this is not getting better. This is not the progression. This is not the progression where it's like, it's getting better. This is getting worse. And every time we hear new news, it's worse than the previous news. And he's over 30 years old. I think Andrews is going to be great this year. I'm probably just keeping Andrews, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's even said, what did McVay say? It's like not what you would expect from a normal hamstring injury, something cryptic like that, something concerning. So yeah, right now I wouldn't do that. Joe, again, get this work. 10 team, got T-Law, Barkley, Mostert, Diggs, A.J. Brown, Goddard, Ridley on the bench. Got Javonte, Dalvin Cook, London, Herbert, Dotson, P. Ryan, Quentin Johnson. He wants a rating.
By the way, if you noticed, it seems like the majority, we have a lot more 10-teamers than 12-teamers.
I have noticed that.
Which is probably why we get comments during the season when I do videos like, my favorite pick in every round. And then we get comments like, dude, he's not there in the 5th. It's like, well, yeah, because you're probably in a 10-team league, or you know what I mean, or whatever. Or like, oh, dude, I get him in like the 7th. It's like, yeah, because you're in a 10-team league, but whatever. Anyways, Just thought that was interesting. A lot of 10-team leagues. Okay. Barkley, Mostert. Why is Mostert your RB2 in a 10-team? Diggs, AJ Brown, that's great. Ridley is your flex, fantastic. Goddard. You got T-Law. I mean, you obviously went hero RB. You got 3 stud wide receivers, like phenomenal wide receivers. You got a very good tight end. You got a very good QB. I still feel like in a 10-teamer, you probably could have had a better RB2 than Mostert, Javonte, Dalvin Cook, Khalil Herbert. But maybe not. Look, my home league last night, it was crazy. It was running back crazy. I mean, I got Christian Watson in like the 6th round. I got Mike Williams in like the 9th round. It was ridiculous how these running backs are going. So maybe not. So outside of your RB2, this team is absolutely stacked, right? Like T-Law, Barkley, Diggs, Brown, Goddard, Ridley. And like I always say, if RB2 is your weakness, you're doing just fine. So great team. Just going to have to work the waiver wire on RB2, of course.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly. I'm personally not loving Javonte or Dalvin Cook this year, but they're startable, and Mostert, and you're just going to play matchups and flip-flop those guys, Herbert, whoever. So your receivers more than make up for it. Tiggs, Brown, Ridley, and then London on your bench. So yeah, you're totally fine other than that. So I give it a solid 8. And then it's the return of everybody's favorite seasonal movie. It's time for Shrek 2
There
on
we
DVD.
go. Where have you been?
There you go. So here's the team: Watson, Jacobs, Stevenson, Sun God, Higgins, Muth. At the flex is Akers. And then I guess second flex, I'm guessing that doesn't mean super flex. Dotson on the bench, Jimmy G, AJD, Dylan probably, Mitchell, Gainwell, Charbonnet, Rice, Pears, Campbell, DPJ, Downs, Flowers. This is a deep
league.
Deep bench.
Deep bench.
Do you like it?
I don't know how many teams it is, but this is you got 2 good running backs, Jacobs and Stevenson. You got 2 good wide receivers, Sun God and Higgins. You got a good tight end in Muth. You got Akers and Dotson. You got a good QB in Watson. Bench, Jimmy G. Like, oh, really? Jimmy G? But there's some guys on the bench that I like. So don't know how many teams it is, but just looking at it, a lot of guys I like. Strong team. Definitely a strong team.
Yeah, I mean, if this is like, let's say, a 12-team league, very strong lineup. Feel like the receiver depth could use some work. Guys like Paris Campbell, Rasheed Rice, DPJ don't really need to be rostered. I like Zay Flowers, but that's kind of it. And then your running backs do have upside. So I don't love the bench, but I like the starting lineup a lot. So if you avoid injury, you should be rock solid. Then we got Bronson with another one. Who's a good wide receiver 2 to trade if you're going to upgrade over Godwin?
Well, I mean, that's again, like I'm always going to say when we get these questions, it depends. And it depends on your league and how they value Godwin. Like for me, like you offer me Godwin for probably any wide receiver 2 that I have, I'm probably saying no, because I drafted a lot of wide receiver 2s over Godwin. Now, if you offer me Godwin for some wide receiver on my bench, I might say yes. So it's always hard to say, like, because somebody out there might like Godwin. They might there's people out there who think Godwin is going to be great this year. You go offer a trade to them, you might get somebody really good. So yeah, the best thing to do in this situation is either if your league has a thing where you can put them on the trade block, or just go in your league chat and say, hey guys, I'm looking, I'm open to trading Chris Godwin. If anybody needs a wide receiver, send me some offers. And then get the conversation going. They send you an offer. Maybe it's not what you like. Say, hey, would you be willing to do this? Whatever. But that's what I'd be looking to do.
Yeah, that's the problem is right now Godwin isn't, ranked or perceived as a wide receiver 2. So in order to upgrade, you're probably going to have to do a package deal, a 2-for-1 or 2-for-2 kind of deal. So, put him on the trade block and see who is interested. Pat Mack, a 2 QB league. Okay, so the 2 QBs are Aaron Rodgers and Geno Smith. Got Ayuk and Evans. Got CMC and Henry. All right, that's good. Fryermuth, Sanders, Mostert, McLaurin, and Gabe Davis. It's a 10-team league, though.
All right, so I'm not Pat. Appreciate you. Please don't take anything I'm saying as like mean spirited or like. I'm gonna try to do it very, but I'm just giving you like my real thoughts on this. I'm okay. Like Aaron Rodgers and Geno as your QBs in a 2 QB league in a 10-team league is pretty dicey for me anyways. Now, I would be okay with it, though, if the rest of your team was stacked. If you said, you know what, while everybody else in my league is grabbing QBs, I'm going to just stack my lineup everywhere. And you got McCaffrey and Henry. Okay, you could say, hey, I got 2 awesome running backs. You did. But Ayuk and Mike Evans are your wide receivers. Like if you had like McCaffrey, Henry, and then let's say in round 3, because like, the thing is about Superflex is a lot of the positional players drop because QBs are dropped earlier. So let's say in round 3, you got Garrett Wilson. And then in round 4, you got like Chris Olave or Jalen Waddle or somebody like that. If they were still there, then I could live with the fact that you waited on QB because it's like, hey, you stacked the rest of your roster, but you didn't really even stack the rest of your roster. So I'm again, I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate you dropping a super chat. I hope you take this as me trying to be helpful and not me trying to be mean, but I really think this team is going to struggle, unfortunately.
Look, and that's what we're here for. Constructive criticism, work the waiver wire, trades, stuff like that. 10-team league, maybe pull something off. But again, like I look at it, okay, the quarterbacks, okay, you waited, you got 2 stud running backs. Like, all right, that's good. But then I'm looking in the receiver room. It's like in a 2 QB league, Ayuk should be like a 6th, maybe 7th round pick. Evans should be 7th or 8th. And so if you got running back, your first 2 rounds, I'm really hoping you didn't, pull the trigger on Aaron Rodgers in round 3 or Geno in round 3 or 4. Because even in a 2 QB league, like if everyone else is going QB and those are the best guys available, take a receiver and then just wait more on quarterback. Because I don't think there's a big difference this year between Aaron Rodgers and I don't know, Desmond Ritter. Like, I don't think it's that big a difference, honestly. In fantasy, I don't think so. I might as well just wait. That's to me.
Yeah, I agree. You might as well just wait at that point.
All right. And then we got Jason Fon, another 10-team league. There you go. Rate my team: Fields, Stevenson and Gibbs, Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Watson, Fryermuth, Hopkins, Dotson, and then the bench. Now, this is a good 10-team league team.
This is a good 10-team. Again, I'm gonna say the same thing I always say. You don't need 2. Like, why are we drafting 2 when we have Fields? What are we doing? But I mean, the rest of the team is great. Like Stevenson and Gibbs, Jefferson, Wilson, Watson, Fryermuth, D-Hop on your flex, or I guess D-Hop and Dotson in your flexes, Addison, Davis, Swift, Higbee on your bench. Yeah, great team. Great team.
I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, maybe you don't need a backup quarterback, but I mean, it is Tua. So, and then we have Ferris Jobber. Here's a 12-team in PPR: Trevor and Etienne. I'm on Raw, Watson, Kelsey, Dotson. On the bench, got JT, Addison, Burks, and Charbonnet. Could be hurting with potentially Kelsey out, Watson out. We know JT's out. So the question is, trade either Trevor or Etienne, or just keep it as is?
Well, I mean, if you trade Trevor, who are you going to the waiver wire to start a QB? Because I don't see this is one team that didn't draft. If you had like Tua, if you had drafted Tua like a lot of people, I'd say sure, go ahead, trade Trevor Lawrence and roll with Tua. Like, be good enough. So,
yeah, I don't know why you would trade Trevor.
Yeah, I don't think you could trade Etienne because, like, if you trade Etienne, who are you starting? You're starting Charbonnet at running back? Like, I don't see another running back here. So, no, can't trade Etienne. Yeah, no. Keep your team.
I kind of hope you do have more bench spots because you don't seem to have a tight end that you can put instead of Kelsey. And if Watson doesn't play, you're rolling with Berkshire Addison. Like, okay. But yeah. And I only see Etienne Watson. I mean, he only lists one running back.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you only start, like some leagues only start one running back. I think that would be fantastic. I would love a league like that. But yeah, you can't trade Etienne because now you're starting Charbonnet because you can't start JT.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you
No,
could.
I mean, just right now, looking at the makeup of what your roster is, no, I'm not making a trade, not trading those guys. You need those guys. Akeem Farnham, 12-team league, also drafted 12th, went with Watson, Chubb, Dobbins, Ridley, Diggs, Waller. And then who to flex? Swift, Jacoby Myers, Gabe Davis, Juju, Elijah Moore, and Evan Hall stash, but no. Who do you like?
Man. It's like I wish Gabe Davis had a better matchup this week. I'd probably say him, but man, against the Jets, I don't know. And then same with Swift against the Patriots. Am I gambling on Elijah Moore against the Bengals? I don't know. I might still go Gabe Davis, honestly.
Well,
Jacoby to me, just like no ceiling. I'm very worried. Well, I'm worried about two things with Swift. Number one, I'm worried about the matchup. Eagles on the road in New England. But I'm also worried, like, how is that backfield going to play out? I don't know if I want to trust it right away. I do like Elijah Moore this season. I don't, but I'd like to at least have a game to see how he's used first. Juju, Evan Hall, no, definitely no. So I think in this situation, I might just gamble on Gabe Davis hitting one home run. Can he hit one home run?
I mean, I wish Swift had a better matchup because I would say him, but
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
too much risk. I don't want to start him. I don't know if I can put Gabe against that Jets secondary. I mean, there's just so much risk he gets shut down. If it's me, I'm leaning Elijah Moore, see if they use him, quite a bit. Gabe does have a little higher ceiling, but I would go more. And then we got Sanid Chitibonya, I think. 12-team PPR. There, finally, we have a team. Unfortunately, with Daniel Jones. All right, as a starter, I'm assuming. Sun God, Cooper, Barkley, Ramondre, Kittle, Judy. You might want to get him out of your starting lineup. Bills and Carlson. Then you got Addison, Gibson, QJ, and Algier.
Yeah, I hope Judy isn't starting for you because I don't think he's going to play this week. But if we're just looking at the team, Sun God Cooper, I think Judy will be okay. Like Judy is your wide receiver 3 when he comes back. Will probably be fine. Plus you got Addison, so I think that's good. You got Ramondre. Oh, you got Barkley and Ramondre. That's really good. You got Kittle, so you got a fine tight end. Daniel Jones wouldn't have been my choice at QB, but you obviously punted QB, went with Daniel Jones. Hopefully he doesn't lay a huge egg this week against the Cowboys, which he certainly could. And yeah, if you got Judy in the flex, take him out, and I'd probably put Gibson in this week.
I would do that right now. Take Judy out, and I'm not starting Daniel Jones, especially against the Cowboys. So I would swap him out. But otherwise, your starting lineup looks really good. Your bench might be a little inconsistent, but you do have some upside. So just kind of play by ear and see what happens. And quick one here, Boiler Navy, Dak or AR, who do you start?
Definitely Dak. I mean, look, I like Anthony Richardson, but I like Dak a lot. I think people are way too low on Dak. Give me Dak.
I'm not a Cowboys fan, like by any means, and I live in like Cowboy country. All Cowboys fans around me. But the disrespect has got to stop. Come on, has Dak fallen that far? We're starting a rookie quarterback over him. No. Okay, Ethan wants to know an 8-man league, full PPR from the second spot. Got Herbert, Barkley, Gibbs, Chase, Lamb, Andrews, Dobbins. And then on the bench, Hall, Mike Will, London, Dotson, Swift, Gabe Davis.
Well, I'm going to say, it's an 8-team league, but that bench is stacked. I mean, Mike Williams, London, Dotson, Swift, Gabe, and Brees Hall on the bench. You got Chase, Lamb. That's fantastic. Those guys should both be first rounders. And you got Barkley, who's pretty much like a borderline first rounder. Andrews, Gibbs, Dobbins. I mean, it's an 8-man team. You're stacked, but it's an 8-man team. So I mean, you should be stacked. Yeah, you're stacked. But I'm the problem with the 8-man team is there's probably multiple teams that are stacked.
Right. But look, yeah, it should be stacked, but it is. I mean, you
Yes.
you
So
probably could not have come away any better in this draft.
no.
Chase and Barkley, Lamb, yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, even for an 8-man league, you have a really good chance of taking the trophy. Ryan Leal, what is up, Ryan? Start Scary Terry if he does play, or Sky Moore. Now that's a tricky question.
It's tricky. It's also tricky because if you don't play Sky Moore tomorrow, you are locked into Terry McLaurin. So I think, I mean, look, man, if Terry was 100% healthy, I probably would put him on the booms over Dotson. But when we filmed the booms, I didn't think Terry McLaurin was even going to play because Terry McLaurin against the Cardinals fully healthy, that's a boom week if I've ever seen one. But what if like he's limited going into the game because of the toe, and you didn't play Sky Moore, and then he doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's too risky for Terry right now, and the fact that Sky Moore plays tomorrow. So I'm just going to roll with Sky Moore this week.
Yeah, because again, just because Terry might be out there at practice doesn't mean he's going to be a full go during the game. Doesn't mean he's going to be fully effective. Like they might just not need to pass the ball much. I would go Sky Moore in this case. I would go Sky Moore. And then he's also wondering he has Barkley at RB1, solid. Madison RB2, Swift on the bench. Am I in trouble?
No, I think. That. I mean, this week definitely play Madison, but I think long term he'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, Madison may not have the best week against Tampa, but he's startable. I like Swift this year, so I think you're fine. Even seeing this comment when I had just made my last little rant about Dak. So then we have this. Dak just got dropped in a 14-man league.
Yes.
Pick him up or stick with Geno.
Pick him up. There's no way 14 quarterbacks should be rostered over Dak. Pick him up. Yes, pick him up.
It's not right. Poor Dak. All right. Josh with the chat here. 12-man PPR dynasty, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs. The actual question is somewhere else. Sorry. It's kind of spread out here. Here it is. Starters are
dynasty, right? Dynasty, he said?
I'm assuming this is the same one. This is the same Josh. We have a Josh and we have another Josh in Texas. They're both purple, but I think this is the one.
Okay.
Let me make sure. Look, if I got this wrong, Josh, I don't see any chats before that, so I'm assuming this is it. So he said dynasty. I guess just the order was different. So 1 quarterback, 2 running backs. Okay, so let's go for this. Tua, Breece Hall, Miles Sanders, Diggs, Brown, Waller, Keenan, Godwin, 2 flex. And on the bench, you got Harris, Foreman, Sky, Gallup, and Rashid.
All right, so we're rating this team.
I mean, in this team, I guess you have to start Breece Hall this week.
Yeah, it's a good mix between like, you know, some good young players and some, you know, aging still good players, but I'd probably be looking to move Keenan if I could. Again, I'm assuming this is dynasty because I think that's what he said. Because the thing is, if it is a lost season for Breece Hall, are we really going to be banking on Keenan still being good into next year with Quentin Johnston going into year 2 and everything? So I would probably be looking to move Keenan now. I mean, I don't know. I guess this team could. I mean, but without a really good Breece Hall, I have a hard time seeing this team making a really strong run. I mean, you do have good wide receivers. You got Darren Waller, but as Miles Sanders is basically your only running back for a long time here, it's going to be hard to make a real run. So, yeah, I'd be looking to move Keenan if you can.
I mean, if this is a dynasty team, it's kind of an aging team, to be honest. Waller and Allen and, you know, even Diggs getting to 30, guys that aren't old, but they're maybe just not still in their prime. Even Godwin might have seen his best days already in terms of fantasy production. So, yeah, I'd say see what you got. And then with Brees Hall this year, like Brees Hall, you want to keep Brees Hall in Dynasty, but is he going to help you win a championship this year with this team? I think you might need to, at some point this season, make a decision. Am I going all in to try to win this year and trade one of your young players for a veteran running back? Or do you blow it up and start over, like if you need to? So, and then we got let's see, Country Connected. 10-team PPR. Got Watson, Mixon, Ramondre, Jefferson, St. Brown, and Njoku, Keenan, London, Dobbins, Pickens, Dotson, Zeke, and Mitchell.
I like the Zeke thrown in there. I mean, this is a pretty stacked team. You got Ramondre and Mixon. That's fine. You got Jefferson, St. Brown, Keenan, London. You got Dobbins, Pickens, Dotson, Zeke. Okay, whatever. You still got a good tight end with the Njoku. You got the Njoku Watson stack. Yeah, this is even for a 10 team, this is a great team. Great team.
Yeah, I think despite Zeke, I think that you're fine. I don't love Mixon this year, but I guess I can consider him your RB2, Ramondre your RB1. Your receivers make up for it. Actually, you know what? You got Dobbins. Just swap out Mixon for Dobbins, and you're good. So I think you're very competitive. Very competitive. This is a good one.
Yeah.
All right, let's now, I think, go back. Let me make sure this isn't a duplicate because we have some people who are chatting. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, some people who are super chatting twice. Okay, let's go to Jesus Sosa. With Kupp's injury, I need to start 2 receivers and a flex. Got Godwin, Ridley, Lockett, Dotson, Khalil Herbert, Warren, and Mostert. 2 receivers and a flex.
Let's see. Ridley and Lockett for sure. I mean, this would have easily been Dotson yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder now with Terry, like, do I put Godwin in over Dotson now? I think I'm still rolling with Dotson. I just like the upside in that matchup. I think he has more touchdown upside than Godwin. I think I'm going Ridley, Lockett, Dotson.
Ridley, no question. Lockett, I like him a lot this week. Yeah, I give the edge to Dotson, assuming this is PPR. Mostert interesting, but I think I said this before. I give the edge to the receiver. I'll go Dotson, even with Terry playing, if he plays. And then Slayton, not Darius. Redraft 12-team PPR. Trade away Bijan to get Etienne and Garrett Wilson.
Man.
That's tempting.
Well, here's why I might say yes. Because he says his roster he's got Rachaad White, Kenneth Walker. But his wide receivers right now are Keenan Allen, Sky Moore, George Pickens, and Christian Watson. And look, I like Christian Watson. I like Keenan Allen. I like Sky Moore. I like George Pickens. But none of those guys are wide receiver 1s to me. They're like Watson, Keenan, wide receiver 2s. Pickens, Skies, like wide receiver 3s with upside, flexes with upside. And you still have, look, I love Bijan, but you now have Etienne, Rachaad, and Kenneth Walker, your running backs, which that's pretty solid. And you would go from Keenan, Watson, and Pickens to Garrett Wilson, Keenan, and Watson. That's a big difference to me. So I think I do it. As much as I would hate to give up Bijan, I do it because I think for your team, for your roster, it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. You're still going to be fine at running back. Garrett Wilson, I think this helps that wide receiver core quite a bit because you don't have that clear-cut wide receiver 1. So, yeah, I do it. And then you have maybe not a juggernaut, but a really, really good starting lineup, I would say, once Kelsey is healthy. Boiler Navy, yes, you did sort of screw up your super chat, but we figured it out. So here's the chat and here's the question. Rate my team. 10-team PPR standard.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess just PPR.
PPR. All right. There's a Dak team finally, and he was the one who asked, I think earlier, Dak or AR. You're starting Dak. In fact,
Yeah.
it's 10-team league. He can drop Richardson, can he?
Yes.
Okay. Bijan, Pierce, James Cook, Rashawn Johnson, at receiver, DK Godwin, Dotson, JSN, Brown. That's Brown. Marquis Hollywood Brown, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, because if it was AJ Brown, I would assume he'd list him first.
Yeah, probably Hollywood, and then Kelsey.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out. I mean, so obviously, I'm guessing he went Bijan Kelsey or Kelsey Bijan, and then I'm guessing he went DK Metcalf next. Yeah, these wide receivers in a 10 team just, for like, I think I mentioned this yesterday with another team like this. In a 10 team league, like, I'm okay with wide receivers like this if your running backs were like Bijan Barkley, Bijan Pollard, maybe even like Bijan Chubb or Henry or Amondre, something like that. But when your running backs are Bijan and Pierce, who I like Pierce, but he's an RB2. Like, then I expect you to have an elite wide receiver one. So, like, I mean, I know you went Kelsey and Bijan, but even still in the third round, there should have been guys like in a 10 teamer like Ridley, maybe even like guys like Olave, Waddle. I think Waddle went in the third round of my home league last night, like early in the third. Like, there still should be really good receivers on the board. So, yeah, I feel like for a 10 team league, it's like either the running back should have been stronger or you should have had a better wide receiver one.
Yeah, agree. I think the running back room is fine behind Bijan if the receivers are rock solid. You have kind of a bunch of wide receiver 2-3 types. You know what I mean? Not a clear cut guy. Okay, you have Kelsey, but it's a 10 team league. So I'm gonna agree with everything you just said. Just need a little bit more at wide receiver. Not really sure what you could do unless you do a 2-for-1 and don't sell low on Kelsey right now. So
No.
Here's a quickie, regular chat. Easy 96. Would you trade T. Higgins for Keenan Allen?
No, give me Higgins.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he has more upside each week.
No. Hey, look, Keenan Allen might have a higher weekly floor because he's not contending with Jamar Chase, but Higgins has a higher ceiling.
Right. And then Joe with another one here, separate from the super chat. He says, trying to trade Mostert and Javante for Pierce to improve RB2. I would do that.
I would do that for sure because Mostert really is just for this week. After this week, his schedule gets really bad, at least for the next 4. But look, then Jeff Wilson's back week 5, they're saying. So, yeah, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, definitely upgrade quality over quantity. Ramu with another one. Thank you. 10-team full PPR. Need 2 running backs, a flex, and a receiver from Madison, Mostert, Shane Warren, one of the Jay Williams. And then we got Olave, Addison, London, Dotson.
All right. Well, the 2 running backs for me is going to be Madison and Mostert. The wide receiver is going to be Olave, and the flex is going to be London. Yeah, it's pretty simple for me there. Like, can't start a Shane yet. Can't start Warren. Can't start either of the Jay Williamses. I mean, Jamal's okay, I think, this week. So I got to go Madison Mostert there. Olave, the clear number 1 wide receiver, and then I got London. Especially now with Terry potentially playing, I got London over Dotson, so he's my flex.
Yeah, I mean, Olave, there's no question he's your receiver. As far as running back, you can't start a Shane yet. You don't need to start Warren. Madison and Mostert for me. And then the flex, getting close between London and Dotson. Kind of a toss-up there. I'll go London, though. And then Blake Weaver with a 12-team auction league. Half point for running back, 1 for receiver, and then a premium for tight end. Very interesting.
All right.
So let's see. We got Burrow, Bijan, Cook, Chase, and Higgins, Lockett, Kincaid, Deontay, Sutton, Mostert, Herbert, Warren, Sky, and Addison. What do you think of that? This is an auction league.
I'm trying to figure out, like, all right, I'm guessing you spent a significant amount of your budget on Chase and Bijan.
Yeah.
which is fine, but I don't. Well, you also got, and then you got hit. You got Chase, Higgins, and Burrow. You are definitely Team Bengals, which isn't bad, and you got Lockett. So I like those wide receivers. I like that. I mean, you got James Cook, you got Herbert, you got Deontay, Sky, Addison. This actually, the more I look at this team, I like it. I mean, I don't like Kincaid. I would have preferred a better tight end and tight end premium, especially. But outside of that, I think it's a very good team. I mean, Burrow, Chase and Higgins and Lockett, Bijan and James Cook with Herbert, Mostert behind him, Sky and Addison, Sutton on the bench, Deontay on the bench. I think it's a very solid team. Very solid team.
Yeah, I mean, auctions are different because, like, if you want a stud, you have to pay up, and then that means you don't have to go stars and scrubs. It doesn't mean like you have to sacrifice a lot somewhere, but for the most part, you're gonna have to pay up. So you can think of this, I guess, as an anchor RB team, sort of, with Bijan, but I like Cook. Most of Herbert guys have upside. You got Sky and Addison. So it's young on your bench, especially, but I do like your upside. Yeah, I mean, if the Bengals win, then you'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, then we got Ferris with another one. This is 12-team PPR. Trevor and Etienne, Pierce, Amon, Watson, Kelsey, Dotson. Okay, so I guess this is like the last one, but he said he forgot to put Pierce. That makes more sense because you only listed one running back. So he wants a rating from 1 to 10. He's asking, is Trevor and Etienne together a bad thing? I don't see why.
Not at all. Not bad at all. Not at all. So you got an elite tight end. I'm going to assume Kelsey is back. I think he'll be back week 2, honestly. So I think you're going to be good there. You got a Monra, Watson, and Dotson. You got good running backs. You got a good QB. I would say 1 out of 10. I'd probably put this at like an 8. You got the tight end advantage. You got solid running backs. You got upside wide receivers, a good QB. I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Look, to answer the first part, nothing wrong with having a really good quarterback and running back combo. No need to trade just to trade, right? 12-team league, you're solid. Like I said, you don't have, I don't view Etienne as like a top 10 running back, necessarily a clear RB1 in fantasy, but you're fine at running back. I don't think you have any holes in this roster. And you got Kelsey. So with your receivers and Kelsey, I think you're really solid. I mean, it's a little bit closer, like a 7.5, but it's still really solid. I don't think you have to make any moves to shake this up, though. And then Bronson Mendez, another one. Trade Godwin and Javonte for DJ Moore.
Yes, I would do that because you're getting the upgrade at wide receiver with DJ Moore. I just don't see Javonte being really good this year. Kind of feels like, I know Dobbins had a more brutal knee injury and didn't come back till week 3, but I was saying last year, I'm all over Dobbins this year, but last year I was saying I'm not touching him. That's kind of how I feel about Javonte this year. Next year, I'll probably really like Javonte, 2 years off ACL, when nobody wants to draft him anymore. Exactly what I said about Dobbins last year. Next year, when none of you want to draft Dobbins anymore, I'm going to be all over him, and nobody wants to draft Dobbins this year. That's probably going to be Javonte next year. So you're getting a big wide receiver upgrade here. Definitely do it.
All right. So you heard it here first. Chris getting all the Javonte Williams in 2024.
Yes,
possibly.
Definitely. I probably will, unless they draft a running back, of course.
Yeah. I do this because Godwin and Javonte are both guys, not on. This is an example of upgrading your wide receiver too. So yeah, I do it. This one, there was a super chat. I think this is the question that goes with it. Week 1 flex, Mostert or Flowers?
I'm gonna go Mostert. I do like Flowers, but look, we can't just assume first game as a rookie he's the number 1 target. Don't forget Bateman's there and healthy. They still have Andrews. Odell's going to do something. Mostert's going to be the guy against the terrible Chargers run defense. He's got burners. He can always rip off a long run. I'm going to go Mostert.
I love me some Zay Flowers, but it's week 1. They might not need to pass that much. Go with Mostert just because of the volume. This one is close to me in a PPR league. I could see Flowers having a nice game, but I would put Mostert in my lineup for this week. And then Austin J traded Bills defense and Kupp to get Lamb. Do you like that?
I like that because, I mean, I had Lamb one spot behind Kupp pre-injury. Now I have him definitely over Kupp. And like Bills, who cares? Bills defense, whatever. Go grab a defense. Go grab the Seahawks off the waiver wire. Seahawks going to be great this week at home against a coupleless Rams. Yeah, great trade. Great trade.
Yeah. I mean, Lamb really wasn't that far off. I mean, ranking wise, I would say both of us before this week, before the hamstring issues, we had probably Kupp 3 or 4 and Lamb 5, something like that, ranking wise, neck and neck. So I think this is come on, a defense, like whatever. So you basically you got Lamb for Kupp. I think that's a win. Let's now go to Lath AJ, 10-team league. Full PPR, 1 flex. Got Josh Allen, Pollard, and Sanders, Chase, London, Debo, Freiermuth. On the benches, Hall, Deontay, JSN, Addison, and Mitchell. 10-teamer.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got Chase, Pollard, you got Josh Allen, you got London and Debo as your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. You got Sanders, who I like as an RB2. You got a set and forget tight end. You got good players on your bench. I don't know if this is necessarily like the most stacked 10-team league or 10-team roster we've seen so far, but it's pretty good. It should contend for sure.
Yeah, not the most stacked. I mean, Miles Sanders is your RB2. Okay, well, you're good at receiver. Move at your tight end. Like, okay. It's drafting Breece Hall. If you draft him where you draft him, you're going to need him. So if he happens to come up huge in the second half, maybe I'll take that back. But it's good. It's pretty solid. It's a solid team. To me, it's like more like a 7.5 kind of team. Getting there. We're still catching up with the super chats, guys. I guarantee we'll answer all of them. We're almost there, but not quite. So if you still have some last minute draft questions, maybe, or start sit questions, put them out there before tomorrow's game. A couple of regular chats I do want to get to. Trust me, guys, we're trying to get to as many as we possibly can. First of all, our boy Clayton, who is in some of the endgame leagues, in a lot of the endgame leagues, just said he posted his favorite Underdog puppy team in the Discord. So I will check that out after the stream. So not too late to get some Underdog drafts in too. All right. And then here's an interesting one. Mark Arcio, would you flex in a 2 QB league where he's already got somehow Hill, Diggs, and Ridley? Are you going to flex Olave or Matt Stafford?
Yeah, so I guess super flex, but I'm going Chris Olave over Matthew Stafford. I don't think there's any guarantee Matthew Stafford outscores Chris Olave. On the road in Seattle without Cooper Kupp, yeah, I'm going Olave. Even last year with Cooper Kupp, there were weeks that Olave was outscoring him. So I'm going Olave for sure.
Yeah. I'm down on Stafford, just in general, but especially without Kupp. Like, no, Olave definitely. And this goes back to, I had mentioned with the pick'ems on Underdog 2 days ago. Was it yesterday? Maybe, I don't know. Matt Stafford, it was higher or lower than 250 yards. I was all over that lower, smashing that. And then it's not there anymore. It's lower. Now it's like 227, right? Everyone's caught on. Like, yeah, he's not going to, well, because of the Kupp news, right?
Right.
There is also, it didn't get to show it because I've already used it a long time ago. Clayton, I don't know. He's going lower on the 0.5 yards from Mahomes. Guys, I guarantee you can do better than this. Now, I already used my freebie, but you get a freebie. If you do the pick'ems, they're giving it to you. Pat Mahomes just needs 1 yard. If you go higher, I mean, if that's your choice, if you're not like Clayton and you decide to go higher,
like Clayton and go lower.
Yeah. You could try it. You never know, right? He could suffer a devastating injury coming out of the tunnel.
I mean, don't say that.
I know. Look, Chiefs fans are already tilted enough about Kelsey, so no, I'm not going to put that on him. But just saying, if you feel pretty good about Mahomes getting a yard, take the freebie, put it with some of the picks we mentioned, or any pick you like, and do that. Just make sure if you're signing up for the first time, don't forget it's end game. That's the code you use. All right. Alaska Moose Dog. 10-team PPR. Got Fields, Robinson, Pollard, Olave, Lockett, Musgrave. All right. Sanders. Russ on the bench. Zeke on the
Okay.
bench.
Sorry. That's
Big
gotta be our first. It's gotta be our first team with Russell Wilson. Why would you even put Russell Wilson on the bench? But okay.
and Zeke. Russ and Zeke.
And Zeke.
Bigsby, P. Ryan, Flowers, Ross, Okonkwo. That's better. What do you think?
I mean, you got Robinson and Pollard. You still got Olave. Like this is one time where I'm like, okay, I'm okay with Lockett as your wide receiver 2 in a 10 team because you took 2 stud running backs and a stud wide receiver 1. So it makes sense. And then you got Sanders, you got Fields. You obviously punted QB completely, tight end completely because you got Musgrave. Yeah, you didn't need to take Russell Wilson though. Like in a 10-team league where you have Justin Fields, if Justin Fields gets hurt, like I said, keep saying, I got bad news for you. Russell Wilson isn't coming to save the day. Like you're in trouble at QB. So drop Wilson, pick somebody else up. But I do like Bigsby, P. Ryan, Flowers. Ross, you probably don't need Ross in a 10-team league. I'm okay having this is one time where I'm okay having a second tight end because Musgrave is by far not a sure thing. So you might want to mix and match these guys based on weight on matchup situation. So I would drop Zeke too, but I would definitely drop Wilson and Ross and pick up somebody else for those guys.
Yeah, and I wonder in a 10-team league, is there someone better on waivers for tight end there? Maybe somebody, but we'll see. But other than that, tight end obviously is going to be a question mark, but you got 2 stud running backs. Receiver, you're good. Not amazing, but you're good at receiver. So it's solid. It's a solid team. And then Ryan Leal with another one. Got a 12-team full PPR. Hurts, Barkley, Madison, DJ Moore, Allen, Andrews, and Terry. On the bench is Swift, Sky, OBJ, Mims, and Bateman. How can you improve this team?
Probably RB2. Right? You got Madison, Swift. I do like Swift's potential, but there is risk there, right? Like we'll find out this weekend. We'll get a little more info about how they're going to use that backfield. Love the wide receivers. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Terry, Sky. Yeah, I think just that RB2. You got Andrews, you got elite QB, you got a stud RB1. It's just that RB2. But look, like I say all the time, you can churn and burn RB2s, find them on the waiver wire, so it's fine.
And you're okay with the receiver core because it looks like DJ Moore are kind of the number 1 guy here. Keenan Allen's the 2, and Terry's the 3. And I know you got Mark Andrews, but is that good enough?
Yeah, I would have liked a better wide receiver 1, but it looks like he probably went Barkley, and then I'm guessing Hurts, and then Andrews.
Yeah.
Unless he took DJ Moore in the 3rd, which look, hey, sometimes in some of our endgame drafts, because wide receivers are going so early, I took DJ Moore in the 3rd. He wasn't my wide receiver 1 because I probably, took a wide receiver in the 1st round, or I didn't take Hurts that early. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe if you took Hurts in the 2nd, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the Eagles fandom got in the way here. Hurts as a 2nd round pick. A little early for me, but
true.
It's solid, very solid. If Terry's playing, your receivers, there's no issues here, so you should be solid. I don't think there's any, but you can drop OBJ probably. Drop OBJ for another running back is what I would say. A couple of quickies. These are not super chats, but I feel obligated to ask you. I don't know why people are trading Jamar Chase before the season starts. You drafted him probably number 2 overall or number 1. Okay, so would you trade Chase for Garrett Wilson and Kamara?
Not only that, you're getting a downgrade at wide. Look, I like Garrett Wilson, but he's not Jamar Chase. And then you're getting Kamara. No way. No.
Again, if you just drafted Chase either 2nd or 3rd overall, why are you trading him?
Right.
And then this one, trade Devontae Smith for Pierce? No way.
No, I like Pierce, but no, too much. You're giving up too much for Pierce.
No. chance. All right, Danny G. What is up, Danny? Assuming it's our Danny G from the
I
Discord.
think so.
Could be another one. Rate my team.
True.
One team. PPR. Okay, Mahomes, Bijan, Eckler, Chase, Jefferson, Kupp, Lamb. This is not a
This
real
is
team.
not real.
This is
This isn't
not
even
real.
real. This is not real. Tebow on the bench. This is like maybe like a 0.5, maybe a 1 out of 10, maybe. I don't know. I don't think you're gonna win a game this year, though. You're not gonna win a game. Like, why? I don't understand why you have Andrews and Kelsey, though. What's wrong with you? Andrews and Kelsey on the same team? Like, dude. Yeah.
Technically 3 tight ends on the same roster because Tim Tebow was a tight end at the end of his
That's
career.
true.
So
Like,
3 tight ends, you lose, instant loss.
Instant loss.
And a bunch of hurt guys like Kupp and Kelsey. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Kane train, not the right kind of Kane, but wide receiver is weak. Would you look to trade? Got a 12-team league here. Dak, Barkley, Pollard, Deontay, Terry, Pierce, Andrews, Michael Thomas, Addison, and Algier. I agree. Wide receiver is a little weak, but what would you do?
Yeah. But you don't really want to trade Barkley or Pollard. Yeah. That's kind of like your team's advantage, right? Is you have 2 stud running backs and they're going to carry you every week. I mean, maybe you could package like Pierce and Deontay or Terry to try to get a wide receiver, a better wide receiver.
Yeah, maybe. I would try to package Michael Thomas somehow while he still has perceived value. But yeah, right now Terry's value isn't high because everyone, is hurt, whatever. But yeah, try to do a 2-for-1. I mean, you could, like I always said, like maybe trade Barkley for a legit stud receiver. And then you say, well, Pollard's my RB1, Pierce is my RB2. But that doesn't necessarily upgrade your team. You know what I mean? So try the 2-for-1 first. Let's see who's next. Okay. Don't see. Trevor Richard. 12 team, full PPR. Field, Garrett Wilson, Ridley, Sky. Got Bijan, Aaron Jones, Laporta. At the flexes, Akers. Okay, so it looks like we're rolling with Laporta as a starting tight end. Hollywood, Addison, Charbonnet, Hyatt, Zamir, and Hunter Henry. That's the first.
That is a first. Wilson and Ridley, nice. Bijan, Aaron Jones, good. Sky is your wide receiver 3. I guess this week it makes sense. You got Hollywood. Hopefully Kyler comes back eventually. You got Addison. You got Fields. I mean, it's a solid team. You should certainly contend, especially if, Kyler comes back and Hollywood is halfway decent. If Addison busts out like I think he will. Like Bijan and Aaron Jones should be good enough. I'd probably like a little more. You got Akers in flex. Okay. Yeah, I think this feels like a team that might start a little slow here, but eventually could become a really good team.
Tremendous upside at receiver. You got Bijan. I'm fine with Aaron Jones as your RB2 in a 12-team league because you also got Fields and you got Akers. So you're totally solid.
Yeah.
I'm fine with everything on this team. Yeah, I mean, Laporta, maybe, whatever. It's a late tight end. I don't think it really matters much. You know what? I don't think we even ever mentioned with all the Kelsey and all the, tight end streaming possibilities. I don't think we even thought to mention Patriots tight ends because the Patriots probably will need to throw the tight end because, maybe Hunter Henry is actually an interesting. Maybe I might.
He might be, especially this week. They're saying Devontae Parker isn't 100%. They're talking about Juju's knee's going to explode. Hunter Henry might actually be a thing this year.
Devontae Parker has never been 100%, like ever.
No.
Yeah, Juju, who knows? So, yeah, I mean, this week maybe start Hunter Henry. But yeah, I think you got a really good team. Actually, I like it. All right, so before I put this one up, a couple of clarification. Danny V saying this was his first fantasy draft. I'll say congratulations.
All right, welcome.
Wish I did more research prior. Don't feel good with your receivers. Let's take a look now.
Let's see.
Now you know where to look for research. It's right here. So you're in the right place. Trevor, Eckler, Etienne. Okay. AJ Brown, DJ Moore, and Hollywood Brown. Njoku, Hall, Cousins, Dobbs, Collins, Mooney, Singletary, Harris, probably Damian, and Juwan Johnson.
Hey, for your first fantasy draft, this is pretty good. I mean, Eckler and Etienne at running back is very solid, very good. AJ Brown, DJ Moore, that's excellent. Njoku is tight end. Okay, Hall, we'll see. Hollywood, again, going to come down to Kyler playing at some point. But you still got, like, Mooney, Nico, Dobbs. So it's not like you're completely dead at that spot. Again, going to say, you don't need Cousins when you have Trevor. You don't need Cousins. So, hey, it's not like I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're stacked, your team's great. But I think it's good enough to contend. And for your first fantasy draft ever, this is great. Well done.
I think it's very good. And you're saying you're worried about a wide receiver. Why? You got AJ Brown, legit wide receiver 1. DJ Moore, solid at the 2. Hollywood should be fine. The depth, we'll see. I mean, but these are guys, I talked a lot about Dobbs this preseason. Of course, now he's hurt. But Nico, we both think has some potential. Mooney, I think it could fill in. So I got no issues with this team. Hall, not my favorite pick, but you know what? I think you're very solid here. So I think you pulled off a good team.
Yep.
And then we got Country Connected. He's saying he really struggled here. Okay. Russ. Okay. Ooh. Yeah. That's not a good start. But look, Henry, Chubb, Debo, Deontay, Kittle, Godwin, Sutton, Herbert, Davis, Kmet, and Zay Jones.
Yeah. So this team is really, really, really banking on Henry and Chubb to be awesome this year. Because, yeah, Russell definitely an eek. I like Debo as my wide receiver 3, preferably, not my 1. I like Deontay definitely as my wide receiver 3, not my 2. Godwin, Sutton, they're okay. Like Gabe, they're okay. Yeah, like I really wonder what you did. I mean, obviously you started Henry Chubb or Chubb Henry, but I really wonder what your next picks were. I'm guessing Debo and then Kittle maybe, and then I don't know what happened after that. But yeah, I don't know how I can help you. Because this team, like that's the other thing when you have a team like this, it's hard. Like, I mean, maybe you could trade. I mean, man. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what to do. I would just say, like, no disrespect. I would say if it was in 2021, this team wins the championship. Yeah. It does, right? Debo's huge year. Derrick Henry.
Deontay was awesome. Johnson.
Yeah, Godwin was a stud before the injury. Russell was still, like, capable of playing. So 2 years ago, this was a dominant team. But things change. So it's a little long in the tooth for fantasy purposes. And just lacking some of the youth and the upside. So I would personally say maybe flip Kittle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe like Kittle and Debo or Kittle and Deontay and try to get a better wide receiver 1.
Yeah, or Deontay. I mean, because you're also kind of splitting a little bit. Yeah, it's fine to have 2 guys from the same team, but you got Debo and Kittle. You really want one of those guys at least to pay off for you. Don't bank on both. So yeah, try package Kittle with like either a Godwin, a Sutton, a Gabe, or Deontay to upgrade at receiver, and then find a new quarterback. Almost caught up in the super chats. This one caught my eye because I guarantee you would have not had a Mac Hollins question yet. How do you feel about Mac Hollins? And it's Robert Mitchell. Robert was with us a lot in our super chats and last year. So the answer, Robert.
I will say, Robert, this is the first time I've actually thought about Mac Hollins this year. So I guess that will let you know how I feel about him. I mean, look, I guess he's the wide receiver 2 for whatever that. I mean, people don't even want to draft Drake London, who's the clear wide receiver 1. I really don't have any interest in Mac Hollins this year.
I mean, technically, he's the number 2 receiver in Atlanta, but number 2 receiver in Atlanta is very different from the number 2 receiver in Philadelphia or
Yes.
another team. So, the thing is, he put up some decent games last year for the Raiders, but that's because everybody was hurt. Like that's all they had. You know what I mean? Like Waller was out forever, and Adams ended up, and Renfro was never healthy. So yeah, that offense just doesn't pass enough. I think I took him maybe once or twice in a best ball league as like my last pick. So that's kind of how I feel. Josh, with another one, my bench here, he says Anthony Richardson, Foreman, Harris, Gus Edwards, Chase Brown. Very nice. Sky Moore, Gallup, and Rashid. Should I start Chris Godwin or Sky Moore?
I think I still go Godwin. I know the potential there with Sky Moore, but I mean, it's still the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. There's no guarantee that like Sky Moore is the guy. It's a good matchup for Godwin. Again, I don't think he has a huge ceiling, but I think he has a decent floor. I'm going to still go with Godwin.
Yeah, I think it's Minnesota. I guess I'll go Godwin. You can take the chance with Sky. Look, if you're feeling it with Moore, sure, but probably best to keep with Godwin. And then this is Josh. Again, I think it's the same Josh. Remember way back, it was a dynasty. He said it's not a dynasty. So.
Well, in that case, then Keenan's fine because you don't care if he falls off a cliff next year. So,
right.
Ignore what I said about trading Keenan Allen.
There you go. And then we have this one made me laugh from Sean. I mean, you're kind of not wrong.
Funny? Look, it's going to happen eventually that there's going to be another running back who tears his ACL and then is actually good the first year back. It'll happen eventually. Like, it's going to happen. But it's so funny to me because when Saquon Barkley was coming back from his ACL, I was pumping up Saquon Barkley. I was telling everybody to draft Saquon Barkley. And here's what I was saying about Saquon Barkley. Don't worry, guys. He's going to start slow. They're going to limit his snaps early. But then as the season goes on, he's going to get healthy and he's going to be great. Well, it didn't happen. Now everybody's saying the same thing about, he's young. He's an elite talent. Same thing I was saying about Saquon. They're going to start him slow. But don't worry. Eventually, he'll get going. And then by the end of the season, when you need him the most, he'll be back fully 100%. Maybe he will. But, I mean, again, the odds are not good. I don't hate Breece Hall, by the way. I loved Breece Hall last year. I had him as like a top 8 running back last year. I'm pretty sure I was higher than anybody on Breece Hall last year.
Yeah. So, again, to clarify, don't hate Breece Hall. I just hate drafting him in redraft this year. But you know what I love is, not now, but wait 4 or 5 weeks until he really doesn't do much. And then in Dynasty, start trying to see if you can buy, right? Not that anyone's going to be running out to sell him, but somebody's worried. You never know. People overreact all the time.
True.
Less likely in a Dynasty league, but still, it's still possible.
Look, he might make his way on some buy low videos this year if he's starting to look, pretty good. But don't be surprised if he struggles all year.
Right. That's exactly right. Okay, so Ben says Kupp is out, Jefferson or Addison.
Oh man,
it's tough.
Yeah. Just give me Addison. Give me Addison. I mean, I think Van Jefferson's okay this week, but I'm just worried that Rams offense is just going to be horrible. I mean, look, it was horrible last year with a healthy Kupp. Like, how is it going to be this year without Kupp? It's going to be awful. So just give me Addison. At least we know the Vikings like to throw a lot. He's got Kirk Cousins. He's a good player. Give me Addison, I guess.
Maybe Jefferson has a good game, but on the road, Seattle, like I've been saying, not being sold on Stafford having a good season in general. I mean, it's like Kupp or bust with him. So, yeah, I would take a shot on Addison. And does this sway you in any point? Breece hitting 20 miles per hour, round 5?
Oh, boy. So a guy running in a straight line in practice is like, this is the thing. Like, You got to be able to cut. You got to be able to decelerate. That's another huge thing. You got to be able to decelerate and then cut. It's not just running forward. Like, look, Brees will probably have like because Brees has the Jets, so he'll probably have a moment where he rips off like a long run because he just gets the ball and there's a huge hole and he doesn't have to cut and he runs through it. But that's not going to happen all the time. Like, there's more to it than just, and plus 20 miles per hour isn't even fast in the NFL. Like, you'll go look at next gen stats. The top guys are like 21, 22, not 20. So no.
No, and there's a difference, like you said, running straight ahead versus getting tackled and guys falling on that knee and having to cut laterally. And yeah, it's no. They got Dalvin Cook for a reason. And like you told the story about Barkley. What happened with J.K. Dobbins last year? Remember he ripped off that long run and all the truthers came out, look, and then he missed half the season.
Because Dobbins is a burn. Dobbins ran a 4.37. He's a burner. He's a super fast. So he still had that. He even had that last year at the end of the season. Remember, he was still picking up big chunks of yards at the end of the season, but you could just tell by the way he was running. First of all, he wasn't full speed, but also he wasn't making defenders miss, hitting those cuts. When there were holes, he could explode through it. That's probably what we're going to see from Brees. Look, guys, it's just like it's nothing personal against Brees. We have a long history of running backs with coming off ACL first year not being very good. Like, I'm just playing the percentages here. We have one guy who was great, Adrian Peterson, and then we have all the rest who weren't. I'm just playing the percentages. That's all I'm doing here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the risk versus reward. What is his upside now splitting time with Dalvin Cook? I mean, yeah. Sorry, I'm not doing it.
The other thing is, like, at least in like best ball underdog, you could talk me into it because if he is good at the end of the season, okay, fine. But here's what's going to happen in redraft. It's going to be week 4 or week 5, and he still isn't doing anything. And now what do you do with Brees? Do you just keep holding and hope it gets better? Do you panic trade him? Does somebody in your league drop him? That's the thing about redraft. Like, that's why I'm saying he might be on a buy low video at some point. I'd rather just go trade for him in week 4, week 5 when people are like, oh my God, he's terrible. And Dalvin Cook's getting all the work. Anyways, that was way too long about Brees Hall.
Yeah. No,
don't pull up any more Brees Hall comments.
No more Brees Hall. All right, let's do this. We got 2 more. We're almost caught up. Now we got 2 more super chats, and then we're going to call it a night. So let's do go. Austin, start Kirk or Dotson?
Well, I think now, I mean, look, keep listening to the reports, but if it looks like Terry's going to play, I think I got to go Kirk over Dotson now.
Yeah, Kirk is still pretty solid. I mean, it's a good matchup for him. So, it's close. It really is tempting to start Dotson. Both. I'll lean Kirk. And then we got Hugs Capital. 12-man, half PPR, 3 receiver, 2 running backs in the flex. Got Joe Burrow, Shad White, Monty, Diggs, Wilson, Metcalf, Higbee's the tight end, Herbert the flex, Tucker, Zay Flowers, Mostert. Only 2 guys on your bench.
Wow. Okay. So in the 3 wide receiver league, we're starting Diggs, Wilson, and Metcalf. That's not bad. It's pretty good, actually. Starting White and Monty as your running backs. It's okay, not great. But this is where what I would have liked to seen is, okay, so I'm guessing you started Diggs, Wilson, Metcalf, Burrow probably, or maybe somebody else. But since it's a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I would have liked to seen some more wide receiver depth, like flexing Herbert. Like, and then what happens? What are you going to do when, Diggs, Wilson, Metcalf are on a bye? I mean, you only really have Zay Flowers behind them. So I'd like to see a little more wide receiver depth in this format. I'm okay with like you waited on running back in this format. I'm okay with that. But I would have liked to seen that you got more high-end wide receivers. Because like I like Rachaad White and I like Montgomery, but they're like RB2s. So I would like to see you get a couple more like wide receiver 2, 3 types.
Yeah. I mean, they're both more on the lower end of the RB2 spectrum. So, yeah, I mean, with those receivers, like, oh, that's good. But if this was really like a 0 RB team, exactly, Metcalf should have been probably look, and we're just, I guess, this year not as high on Metcalf. Metcalf at wide receiver 3, sure, but then you got like a Higbee. You probably drafted him later, picked him up. Yeah, so I think it was for a 12-man team. I agree. Either the running backs should have been better, or you should have gotten just an absolute stud at your third receiver or tight end. So, and then we do have one more. Humberto, he did clarify this is a PPR, full PPR.
Okay.
So let's rate this team. Dak, finally, another Dak team. Got Bijan and Pierce. There's DK, but I'm afraid it looks like he's the wide receiver 1. And then we got Watson, we got Mark Andrews, got Dotson, London's on the bench, Dillon, Sharp, Mitchell, Gesicki. That's a first. And then Van Jefferson and maybe Rondale Moore.
Yeah, maybe Skymore. I hope Skymore. Or maybe Rondale.
Maybe Skymore. I don't know.
So I'm guessing you went Bijan, and then I'm guessing DK in round 2. I don't know which wide receivers that were there, but there's definitely guys I like over him. But at least you got Watson, you got Dotson, you got London. I mean, London just on your bench. That's great. Pierce is your RB2 is solid. You got an elite tight end. You got a good quarterback. So, yeah, I would have preferred a better wide receiver over DK as my wide receiver 1. I'd much prefer DK like as my wide receiver 2 or 3. But overall, I mean, with DK, Watson, London, and Dotson, you should be okay at wide receiver most weeks. Bijan, Pierce, Dillon, that's good at running back. You got Dak, you got Andrews. So I think it's a good team. It should definitely be competitive.
Yeah. Again, DK should be like really, I prefer him as my third receiver. I know he's not getting drafted that way. You have good weekly upside at receiver. This team is gonna have a lot of ups and downs, I think. So Andrews kind of helps to steady the course, but yeah, I would prefer some more comfort at wide receiver, I guess, with those players. But yeah, Bijan is definitely going to help you. So it's good. It's good. And then we got, this always happens right before we log off. We did another super chat, but I don't see a comment. I'm going to see if I see Christian L's comment maybe up here. Christian L, if you do have a question for us, go ahead and post it now, because we have just hit the 3-hour mark. So I think it's time to call it a night. We've been going live every night. We do this. Well, it's fun. We like it. But
yes,
also to try to help you win, guys, with your lineup advice, trade questions, waivers. There it is. There's Christian's. No problem. All right. Herbert, another Bijan team with Rachaad White, Olave, Ridley, Flex DJ Moore, Deontay Sky, Bateman, Sharp, Zeke, and then Njoku.
I don't really see a lot you can do to improve your team. I mean, you got Bijan and Rachaad. I mean, you got Sharp. You definitely need some running back depth. But you got Olave, Ridley, DJ Moore, Deontay Sky, Bateman, and Njoku. I mean, I would like more running back depth for sure, especially when you got 3 really good wide receivers, on your team. I don't know which running backs are out there. I would drop Zeke for a different running back, like a rookie, a handcuff, something. Maybe I might even drop Bateman just because of the way your team is. Like, are you ever going to really start Rachaad Bateman on this team? Probably not. So if there's a couple running backs on the waiver wire, you could check out Pierre's tomorrow, beat the breakout, players to stash this week, waiver wire pickups. If those guys are on the waiver wire, I would drop Zeke and Bateman and pick them up. But this is a very good team. Very good team. It looks good.
Yeah. And I just real quick, Asko, obviously we love having Bijan as the RB1. We've seen a lot, and I'm guessing because people have been watching our videos, especially the last few weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of Rachaad White at RB2 because they're loading up on receivers. That's kind of what we've been preaching. Are you happy rolling into this season, all things considered right now, having a team like this, a team where you're really good with your first 3 receivers? You got Bijan, like a whatever anchor RB, even if it's not Bijan. Rachaad White as your RB2. Does that make you happy?
Oh, for sure. 100%. 100%. Yeah, definitely.
All right, there you go. I would feel the same way too. All right, no problem. And you are almost right, Mike. It's time to get out of here. It's almost bedtime.
Yes, it almost is.
Time first.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that is it. We are out of here. Have a good night indeed. We will see you again. And you know what tomorrow? You know what tomorrow is?
Football.
It's football. Actual football that counts and fantasy football that counts. So
Yes.
in the meantime, obviously, time to draft is almost over. Get those picks. If you haven't joined Underdog, check it out. Use code Endgame. Get your pick'ems for week 1, even season longs, and check out all our videos. We got start sit for running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end, and our boom picks, guys that we think could go off this week and help you win. So we're going to be here locking in every week. Every day we have new content and live videos, even more than last year. So appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you on the next one.